Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves, phantoms, zombies, gorgons, mad scientists, abominable snowmen. These are the monsters that they have created. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, Veronica Carson, Oliver Reed, Madeline Smith, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gow, Hazel Court, Bartine Beswick. These are the people that faced the horrors. Jimmy Sangster, Terrence Fisher, Michael Carreras, Peter Sasty, John Elder, Evan Jones, Anthony Hines. These are the people who created the horrors behind Hammer Studios. Welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, your gateway into classic horror cinema, brought to you by Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers, I'm also the owner and operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to my program in which me and my special guests kind of sit down and discuss, have a conversation, kind of get into the nitty-gritty or sink our teeth into any of the films from the Hammer Studios from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You are in luck today, because what we've been doing over the course of the last couple of years is we have been going in each of the films in the Hammer cycle of Dracula films. And today's film we are going to kind of sink our teeth into is going to be the Scars of Dracula from 1970. And to talk about this film with me and become a victim of Dracula is Mr. Thomas Tinnerello and Dave Watkins, who have been on this program a lot talking about these Dracula movies. So it should be really entertaining for us to discuss this even further. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Good to be back talking about more Hammer Dracula.
Good evening, Kevin L. Powers.
So, what do either of you know what number in this franchise we're on now?
It's the sixth one.
Okay.
If you don't include Brides of Dracula.
Well, since everyone else includes it, I'm going to include it too.
Yeah, I think it should be included.
Number 6.
So, you guys, I want to ask you first of all the time, what was your first impression when you saw this film? And we'll start off with you, Dave.
So, this one wasn't one of the 4 that I got in that DVD set. So I saw it outside of my first bit around of Hammer Dracula. I think when I finally did see this one, it was from the Scream Factory Blu-ray a few years ago, and it definitely stands out because it's definitely it's more gory than the others. It's more violent. There's more sexuality in it than what you're used to from the previous ones. So
yeah.
It's Christopher Lee more than anything. Christopher Lee has a bigger part than normally. He has more dialogue than in any of the other ones.
What about you, Thomas?
Well, Mr. Kevin L. Powers, I'm in kind of a similar camp with Dave Watkins, actually, where I had that same box set, but Scars of Dracula was not on there. In fact, I first heard about this movie from the great Mr. James Rolfe, who did his Cinemassacres Monster Madness. And one year he did on YouTube his Hammerthon. And he did reviews of all the Hammer Draculas and all the Hammer Frankensteins all at once over Halloween. I don't remember which year he did it, but I did come to Scars of Dracula, and he did mention that of all the Hammer Draculas, this was probably the hardest to find. It even has, at the time, it had an out-of-print DVD that was chock full of extras, including this big, long featurette called The World of Christopher Lee. That was literally just Christopher Lee doing basically like a early 2000s version of MTV Cribs, where he's walking around just showing you his house and all his stuff and memorabilia from his movies and all the weird things that are interesting to him. And that's it. That's the whole thing. And by my gosh, I wish I could find that DVD, because that would be just amazing to sit down, because he was such an interesting man. So technically speaking, the first time that I have seen Scars of Dracula was a few weeks ago, when I actually finally sat down to watch it for this podcast. And by the way, God bless the folks at Tubi. And also, I'm thoroughly annoyed by the people at Tubi. I would explain. You see, Tubi in the United States, which is one of the greatest streaming services in the world, I might add, because of all their great collection of great obscure horror, has had Scars of Dracula streaming for free with ads for a good long while now. But last month, when I was about to sit down to watch this thing, they threatened me, Kevin. Tubi threatened me with a little bug in the corner of the poster, that thumbnail that said, leaving in one day. I'm like, oh, crap. I got to watch this movie tonight. And I stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning to finish this thing. And I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to finish this movie because I don't know when the cutoff is. Like, do they cut it off at midnight? Do they cut it off at 2 a.m.? What do they do with Tubi? And then next thing I know, I finish all my stuff, and then I come back. This is the weekend I did this. And then I come back like Monday, and I'm scrolling through Tubi for something else. Lo and behold, Scars of Dracula is still there. They tormented me. They tricked me into watching it now.
Well, they could have taken it off and then re-up their streaming.
No, they knew. Tubi knew. They're like, they knew it.
Tubi has so much content, it's ridiculous. It's hard to know when stuff is on there and when it leaves, because there's always stuff going on and off that. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like Netflix. You wonder why shit just leaves and comes on for like a month and that's it. So,
well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's the thing about any type of streaming. Even if you're paying for it or not paying for it, it's just you never know.
You never know. You never know.
Which is why physical media is the best.
Right. It's definitely why I watch most of my stuff on physical media, because it looks better than streaming.
Yeah.
But
it's certainly more consistent.
Yeah.
Because you could have the best streaming quality thing that's available, but if your internet is being wonky, or there's like a trucker coming by with a really powerful, CB system or something, it's going to interfere with your signal.
Yeah, it's aggravating, just how it's funny when Netflix was just like Netflix and that was it, and everything was just that, and then suddenly it's like 20 other services. Everybody else keeps getting a plus service. It's like now we got like Apple Plus or CBS Plus, or I don't know. It's just like too many, and every now and then I had at one point I think I was subscribing to like 8 of them, mostly because of my wife and my son. And it was just like I was like, "There's no way we can watch all of these. I'm not watching any of them. Or you guys are watching one at a time occasionally. So which ones are we getting rid of?"
That's my problem. And before I get into my whole Scars thing, I probably have about 7 or 8 streaming services myself.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't do like Hulu and Disney or ESPN.
Yeah, I had all those at one point. I got rid of Hulu and Disney.
Yes, I don't have
that was like the ones I wanted to get rid of. I'm wanting to get rid of Netflix too. Like that's on the chopping block right now. Shit's on the chopping block. I'm telling you, Kevin.
For me, Netflix is the only streaming service with the variety of documentary and nonfiction films and shows on there, and they're consistently good from all over the world, by the way. So that's why I originally got the streaming service, and that's why I'm keeping the streaming service. Everything else is just extra. My opinion, they're not really great for horror. I go to Shudder for fucking horror if I want some good horror.
Netflix, I kind of feel a little nostalgia for them because I did do the disc in the mail originally. I never have not ever since they started doing the disc in the mail. I've had Netflix ever since I was like a teen or whatever, and it's like ever since. No, I've never at any point not had it, but that I'm really wanting to get rid of it though. I just have to see if I could get permission from my wife on it. So
I could never get rid of Netflix. My wife watches it too much too. Some of her favorite shows are on there.
We've gotten used to not having it now. Pretty much the only thing we watch now is stuff on HBO Max, Disney, and Hulu and Tubi, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
If we had, I guess if we had Peacock, we'd probably watch some stuff on that, because that had a lot of old shows that my wife liked to watch, like Little House on the Prairie and Love Boat were on Peacock for reasons.
They still have them.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
no.
they have Little House on the Prairies on like TV for free, like in the middle of the day. I was on one of those channels. I had
You
yeah.
know, you can just buy
Not
the
that I was
whole,
watching it, but it's
just buy the box set. And you'll have it forever. And you don't have to worry about a streaming service.
No, that's the no.
right.
You can't do that with Little House on the Prairie because Little House on the Prairie went on forever. So that box set is like the size of a treasure chest. That thing would be expensive as all get out.
I think it's a little under 100.
My wife has a DVD box set of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman,
Yeah.
and we have taken that thing from house to house, and I can never fit it properly on my shelf because that thing is a beast. It is the size, I would say, of the average, like CD, like tiny little boom box. You know those boom boxes used to have back in the 90s? It's about that big.
Oh man.
I think your wife and my wife will probably
Yeah.
get along really well. They like the same type of old shows.
Yeah, I sent her. I teased her a little bit yesterday over the internet because Netflix just announced that they have like a Little House on the Prairies
Remake.
remake that's coming out. And I'm like, here, honey, Netflix is coming to ruin something else from your childhood.
But they're gonna have they're gonna have some LGBTQ characters in there.
Well, no,
Oh,
it'll
okay.
be. Well, no, you hate to say this, guys, but it will. It'll be much more level because that was truly an all-white show. To be honest with you,
And I
so
don't think they can get around
you're
that.
not. Yeah, so
They're
they'll.
gonna change it all. I'm telling you, it's gonna be
Yeah,
completely
well, no,
different.
it'd be very much like what they did. It might be very similar to what they did with A League of Their Own, the television show, which I actually liked. It only lasted one season. Where they kind of added a lot of those type of tensions within the framework of the story, which I really thought was really well done. But
Yeah, but those Texans were in the original movie too.
no,
Yeah.
no, not what they did in the show. Did you watch the show?
No, but I remember seeing those tensions in the original movie. It was subtle, but it was there.
No, they had African American baseball players in there, and
I
they
was talking about that. I was talking about the LGBT thing.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
They had lesbian characters in the show. It was like not so overt in the movie. You know, it was made for comedy.
I guess we kind of
We
got
gotta
a
get
little
back
off
to
subject.
Scars.
Yeah,
Scars of
I mean,
Dracula.
I could continue talking about this for quite some time, but I think we need to talk about Scars of Dracula.
Scars of People
People,
can't.
people listening to this don't give a shit about Little House on the Prairie. Well,
They
maybe they
don't care
do.
about
Maybe they do. I don't know.
How the hell did we even get off of there, Thomas? Let's get back to Scars of Dracula. It's sinking our teeth. It's some nubile flesh and a whole bunch of sexual tension and characters.
Yeah, I think we're at so Kevin, we were going to get to your impression of watching it for the
Your
first time.
origin story with this.
I don't have an origin story with this. I only saw this movie for the first time a few years ago when I was finally able to get it on Blu-ray. And so I saw it the one time and I completely forgot I saw it until I rewatched it for the podcast and realized I didn't remember anything. I literally didn't remember anything. Now, that being said, when I first watched it, I had watched them all out of order. Like I think Scars of Dracula was literally the second to last one I watched because the Legend of the last one was the very last one I watched. The Legend of whatever that the last
Legend
one.
of the Golden Vampires.
Yeah, that one I literally was the last one I watched.
Same director, by the way, as Scars of Dracula.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
even though he didn't direct the fighting scenes, but he directed most of the film.
upon rewatching this film, I actually had a lot of fun with this film. I actually really enjoyed it. I kind of did like the was it the Paul character, right? Yes, the Paul character. I like.
Well,
the
no,
Paul
there isn't a Paul.
Yeah, it's
Simon.
Paul.
There's another Paul. Yeah, see,
There's Paul. There's a Paul. This is Paul 3.0. This is the one you thought was the last Paul when we are talking about Taste of Blood of Dracula.
dude, I had
Paul.
a lot of fun watching him until he died, dude. I really did.
Yeah. No, he was a yeah.
At least they fake you out in this one. They make you think that Paul's going to be the hero in this one, but nope, it's some other dude.
Yeah.
They kind of did what they did with the horror of Dracula with the Van Helsing. I mean, no, the Jonathan Harker character.
Yes.
Yeah, they do like a very similar thing where they make you think he's the main character for almost 40 minutes of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh, I was into this one. I was like, oh, he's a little womanizer, man. And he's gonna do
Oh
his little thing
yeah.
with Dracula and shit. And he climbs out of his room because he gets locked in and into Dracula's thing. And this is nice, this is cool. And then we don't see him again. And I was like, okay, let's go
Yeah.
back. I guess we're gonna go back to the normal characters now.
The normies.
Simon and Sarah characters. And I was like, okay, it's not bad. It's all right. It's good. This movie was entertaining. It was one hell of a minute. And it has Michael Ripper in it. Who plays the landlord. But I really do like the way this one begins. I had forgotten that this is the one where Dracula is resurrected by a fucking a bat. I remember seeing that in one of the films. I couldn't remember what film it was in. I just always thought it was weird.
That bat is like definitely something to behold.
Oh gosh,
that puppet bat.
Puppet bat.
They shouldn't have called this movie Scars of Dracula, because there are no scars on Dracula's face. He does not inflict any scars on anybody at any point in this movie. And even if they do, they probably would have regenerated because vampires. So they should have called this movie.
It's a metaphor.
For what? There's no metaphors in this movie. This movie is as subtle as a sledgehammer.
It's a metaphor. I gotta come up with something.
They should have called it. No, they should have called this movie. They should have called it The Bats of Dracula, because the bats do the most stuff in this movie.
They're cool.
All right, I got it. Scars of Dracula. So the beginning of the film, the villagers, they go and they try to kill Dracula, and then Dracula goes and kills all of their wives. So that left a scar on the villagers. So later on, when people ask them for help, they don't help them.
That's logical. That's logical.
Yeah. That's thin.
Yeah.
That's thin.
But to be fair, it's not really
Dracula
kills them all. We just see the whole church filled with bats. So it's a whole bunch of bats who just have a feast on the townspeople.
Yes, and what's weird about that whole thing is that they said, oh, we'll go in and we will destroy Dracula's castle, leave our women folk to be safe in the church. And then they get back, which is messed up. They get back and all of their wives are dead in this church, sliced to ribbons, and bats come flying out. Yeah. Which leads me to believe that these bats are like the freaking Terminator of bats. These bats not only are able to scratch people to death, send them to their death just by scratching and biting their faces, but if you look in some of the bodies, there is one body of one of the wives who is literally hanging by her neck off screen, and her feet are dangling in front of the altar. So these bats are also able to string up rope apparently and wrap it around a human's head and bring them up. So what the heck? These bats are incredible.
The bats are badass. Now there is something I noticed. I really think it was intended to be just one bat. And I guess they maybe thought it was too much, because if you look at the scene where a bunch of them fly out, it's only one bat at a time. Yeah, and it's almost like the same side type of footage that they just cut him coming out like 3 or 4 different times to make it look like there's more bats in there. I think they're like, it's not realistic that one bat can kill everybody, because you never see more than one bat at a time.
Well, you see a lot of bats when Simon and Sarah are outside Dracula's castle and they get attacked by all the bats. I think that's the only other.
I thought it was just one bat though, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they keep flying by them really fast. If that's one bat, that bat is freaking fast.
It's one fat bat though. He's got a lot of.
I don't know. You know what I think, Kevin? I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I think that particular scene, I think what it was they had one hero bat that they probably called Batty, and that was the articulated puppet bat. And then they had a bunch of little rubber bats that they probably dangled on some string, and those were the other bats that we don't see as much. I think that's what that was.
Yeah,
you could be right.
Even the hero bat looks questionable. It's like
he's questionable, but I challenge you. I challenge you. Watch this movie again. You probably have it on 4K. On the 4K, Dave. On the 4K, could you see the strings on that one? Because I could.
No. I mean, I don't hate the bat. I think it looks really fake. but I got a big kick out of it. It
I got a real
maybe
kick out of it too.
yeah, it maybe takes a movie that might be other than the bad, everything seems pretty not somewhat grounded. It looks
Yeah,
like all the effects look pretty solid, but the vat is fake,
The
yeah.
but it's
bat is
awesome.
always the bat is always fake in these movies. The only like
It is.
good vampire bat I think that I've ever seen that's practical in a vampire movie is the one in Monster Squad that actually Dracula turns into, which brings up a
What's he?
very good question for this series of movies, which is why the heck did they not have Dracula do like the one power that everyone knows Dracula can do, which is turn into a bat? He never does that in any of the Hammers.
Because
They
Now,
were
I could
scared to do it.
you didn't do
well,
it in
here's the thing.
Universal
Here's
either,
the
did
thing.
you?
That's my theory is that in the first movie, in Horror of Dracula, they probably established that because they thought we don't have the effects to make that look realistic, so let's just pretend that he can't do that. They maybe even put it in a line where like Peter Cushing says, "Oh, that's ridiculous. That's not part of the folklore, but cut it out." But here's the thing, though, that became a pattern that was established that he never could change to a bat. But for whatever reason, by the time they get to Scars of Dracula, the sixth one, they're like, we've never had him change into a bat, and he is Dracula. Bats are kind of his thing. Why don't we just go all in on the bats in this one? And so they really just kind of make the bats pretty much do most of the killing in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
and it's
yeah,
funny. It's like he's got one
yeah,
bat that we will
yeah,
call Batty from now on, and Batty is like his assistant. He's like a better assistant than Clove is. Which, by the way,
Oh,
I was surprised. Clove is back in this
yeah.
movie.
It's a
After
different
he was
Clove, but yeah,
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 Clove from Dracula, Prince of Darkness, who I'm pretty sure died in that movie. He is
yeah.
back,
This
and
is
he's
a different one. It's like Paul or Kurt. They come back.
so Dracula just
It,
like automatically names whatever manservant
yeah,
he's got Clove.
yeah.
oh,
Just like the other guy. With it, they just like there's a lot of Cloves around. This guy is played by Patrick Troughton, who played the second Doctor Who,
Yes,
and he's really awesome in this
yeah,
movie.
he's
yes,
great.
yes. They give him a lot to do in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I think he, I don't know. They give him stuff to do, but he makes a lot out of it. What I think they give him less than what you think, but he does to make this. His presence is good. He could have been like a monster character. He
Mm.
could have been like a
If they'd ever did a Hammer version of Hunchback of Notre Dame,
yeah.
which why did they not? I think he definitely could have been Quasimodo.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, he could have been that. He could have been a Wolfman. It's
Could have been, yeah. That's a good question though, but the Hunchback. But it's probably because other studios were making Hunchback movies. Who knows?
And
I
why
probably
did they never
figured that
try to
might
get
be
the rights to Creature from the Black Lagoon? A Hammer Gill Man? That would have been awesome.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, they couldn't pull off this bat hardly in this one. I can't imagine them pulling off the creature.
But
I
that's a
think
guy in a suit. This
yeah,
is the thing on strings. That's a different thing altogether.
yeah. Yeah, the same guy who did the special effects later on did the dinosaur ones, which the dinosaur ones look a lot better than the bat does. Um,
Dinosaur ones in what
the
movie?
the dinosaur Hammer films. I don't have the names of them written down.
Oh,
Let's
you
say
mean
I'm wrong.
when dinosaurs ruled the earth in 1 million BC?
Yeah, I think 1 million BC. So.
yeah,
Oh,
there was four of them. We mentioned those earlier in one of our previous episodes that there were.
I don't. I mean, again, I think the bat. I have some love for the bat from this movie, but I do
his
think
name
it
is
looks
Batty.
bad. Yeah, Batty. I do like it. It kind of stands out a lot. And actually, is the very first thing you see in the movie,
Yeah,
and you see Count Dracula's like cloak, like we talked about the last movie. It's not in the same place. This is a reboot of Dracula generally, even though they kind of a little bit follow continuity by having Dracula's cape and the blood look the same as Taste of Blood of
yeah.
Dracula, but it's in a completely different location. Maybe the bat
Yeah.
just moved that shit. But
It's weird. I mean, it's not like I guess the set wasn't there anymore. That must have been it. I'm pretty sure they had every intention of having Dracula respawn at that church, but then again, that wouldn't work. Because now
well,
that I
they
think
wanted
about
that
it,
castle. Yeah, they wanted the castle, but that bat comes in there and he's like fat and he's got a bunch of blood in his mouth and he just
Yeah.
kind of like
he's a
spits.
fat
There's
boy.
like starts coming out of his mouth and going all over Dracula's thing, and it starts. Then his body like does that little like stop motion thing, the frame by
Yeah.
frame, and it comes,
Dissolve.
yeah, dissolves into Christopher Lee, and he's got the awesome red eyes. And his contacts are probably better in this one than any of the other ones.
Yeah, I think what's going on here though, like, because I just realized something, like they couldn't respawn him in the church because the church got reconsecrated at the end of that movie. So if they respawned him in the altar in the church, he'd be trapped in that church and he'd probably just die all over again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think, and this is far fetched, but I think what really happened is, if you remember at the end of the credits, Taste the Blood of Dracula, Dracula's like dust blood was kind of getting caught up in like the wind of the air.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe it's possible that Dracula's soul, if you could call it that, picked up every scrap of his dust blood and flung out the broken stained glass window of the church and then flew through the upper atmosphere and landed back in his castle crypt where it laid. And Clove sees this happen and is like, "Oh, master, you need your cloak." And he somehow got him maybe another cloak, another cape or something. Dracula has changed capes, by the way. People, eagle-eyed viewers of these movies would know that he started off like my action figure that I have here with a solid black cape and Horror of Dracula. But after, I think, not Prince of Darkness, but I think after Dracula Risen from the Grave, I think he started wearing the traditional black with the inside of red cape that traditionally Bela Lugosi, I think, was supposed to have worn if those movies were color. But
Right.
yeah, so I think that's what happened. I think something far-fetched and weird like that probably happened.
Yeah, I mean it's something. It's kind of like the Emperor returning in the Last Skywalker. Somehow
Somehow,
Dracula returned.
somehow Palpatine. I mean, that would make sense because, I mean, after all, we know this for a fact that George Lucas is a huge Hammer fanatic. I mean, he worked with not one, not two, but three Hammer icons in
Yeah.
Star Wars. He had Peter Cushing in the original. He had David Prowse in the suit as Darth Vader, and then of course he had Christopher Lee in the prequel trilogies, playing a guy named Count Dooku.
Right.
That's just Dracula with a
Yeah.
lightsaber, folks.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's yeah, I mean I think they just there's a little bit of that powder blood there that they have from Taste of Blood, so it kind of connects it.
Well, plus,
But
well, plus, as we were discussing in the previous episode of our show about the previous film, hey, they just need a little bit of his dust to resurrect him. They don't need a whole lot. So
Yeah, all you need is just a drop. And I think that I never noticed quite the girth of this bat, but I feel like the bat is like super intelligent and is like, I think he went and like ate some. Well, that's another thing. It's like the type of blood, because that guy, from what I understand from the lore, I think it's supposed to be the blood of a virgin that
Yeah.
you need to resurrect a vampire. But Taste the Blood of Dracula seems to subvert that and say, no, it really could be anyone's blood. It could be just like Courtly, who's clearly not a virgin, takes his own blood and squeezes it into the goblet, and then bam, instant Dracula blood. So I guess some random who was passing by probably got bit really badly by Batty the Bat, and Batty just carried this blood sloshing around in his stomach, and is like, I must bring this to Master, I must bring this to Master, and then vomits it up onto him and resurrects him. And then for the rest of the movie, Batty and Dracula seem to have this telepathic connection. Like, there are times where Batty comes in and warns him of things, and
Yeah.
and Dracula understands him.
Right. Yeah. Of course he would, but
of course he would.
But yeah, that's
I mean, he'd go out. Batty would go out there in the woods and he sees like Sarah out there. He's like, hey, look. Oh no, he sees not Sarah. He sees a Julie from the tavern out there. And he's like, hey, there's some chick out in the woods. We gotta go get her. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he does.
He's like, hell yeah. He's like, tell Clove to bring the carriage around. Go out there, see what you can do.
Yeah, that's the way Dracula rolls these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of what makes this movie interesting, is that almost every Dracula movie, not all of them, but almost every Hammer Dracula adds something to Dracula's power set, uh, or at least adds a new way that he can be killed. Because let's see, Dracula Prince of Darkness adds the muteness of Dracula and also the thing that Dracula can telepathically communicate with people, specifically the people he's thralling on.
Yeah.
And then Dracula's risen from the grave, I think adds the part of the lore that if you stick him through the heart, you won't kill him unless you pray, and you have to believe.
Yeah, they change. I think they change it depending on what's more convenient for the story of the film.
I don't think they do, because I
They
don't
don't
think any of these
pray
other
though.
movies. I mean, I don't think he gets to. I mean, spoilers for this movie, folks. Dracula does not get staked through the heart in
Yeah.
this movie. In fact, he takes a good plunge, like my action figure just did. And so yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but
there's also
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's no stakings in this one. I guess there wasn't any in the other one either, but we haven't
no, it
seen
wasn't.
we hadn't seen any. I don't know
He
if
gets
they would keep
impaled with
that.
the iron
Yeah,
rod at the end of this film, and of course the lightning. Hit
Yeah.
the iron
but
rod.
some
But I think this one adds that. So what this one adds is the power set of Dracula can control animals, specifically bats, and that's his thing. He commands an army, or in this case, mostly just one really loyal bat.
yeah,
A
that's really
swarm of
all you need is that one bat, but I
yeah,
guess you can have some other
Well,
ones,
the,
but
the
they're
big thing is that the bats kind of overtake the church in which they thought they would have sanctuary. And of course, when the villagers get back there after burning Dracula's castle down and thinking that they had killed Dracula, everyone is massacred. And the big thing is that the church is no longer used after that for anything, because people
yeah.
in that town, which I can't remember the town, I know they mentioned it, but I can't remember the name of it.
oh gosh, I'll bet you it starts with a K.
Yeah, there's another town in here that I don't think they'd mentioned the town, and there's another one they called Kleinensburg, but
Yeah,
that's where they
Paul's
come. That's where like they're having
Paul's
that party.
Yeah, that's where Paul and them are from.
But yeah, what's really interesting about the opening, and there's not a Van Helsing character in this one. The closest thing you have is the landlord character, who starts off as Van Helsing, but then after everybody gets killed, he loses. He basically doesn't want to have anything to do with it anymore because he doesn't want to. He's scared of more
Mhm.
people getting killed by the bat or Dracula or whatever. But you also have Michael Gwynn playing a priest. Michael Gwynn was in Revenge of Frankenstein, played the creature in that one. And he is a
I,
scared priest too.
I
He actually starts off scared.
I almost didn't recognize him until you mentioned that.
Yeah, he's played the creature in Revenge, but he's really good in this one. But he is even the very beginning when all the villagers are gung ho, they're going up there with all these torches, and he stops. There's like some reason in the middle of the woods. There's like a box with was that a Virgin Mary statue in it or
Yeah, it's
something
a
like that?
Virgin Mary. It's a Virgin Mary shrine, and
Right.
he has to make sure. I'm not sure if he actually stops to pray the first time, and I think maybe the
Yeah.
second time they just kind of walk past it, and that's when the bad stuff starts to happen.
Well, it's something about that statue. Like, he's going there. Maybe he sees the statue and he prays the first time, and then he's like, I can't go. Maybe seeing the statue, he remembers that he's a priest and he maybe doesn't want to kill anything. Maybe that's what that's all about. But it's kind of very inconvenient for that to be in the middle of the woods to stop him from doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean,
But
well, that sort of shrine was very popular in certain areas. They'll put those things up. In fact, I think they may have had one like that in the side of the road in probably Prince of Darkness or
well,
yeah,
these people,
I think we've
yeah.
seen it before.
yeah, these
It's
people are superstitious, dude. That's
yeah.
why they have these shrines around here.
It causes him to stop though, and so what do you make of that? Because at first I was thinking maybe he's just because now we're talking about it more. I was thinking maybe he was just scared to go up there, but I think it's more of a religious thing about maybe the death.
I think
Yeah.
I think he is the priest is not only scared because in his eyes, his praying and God is not protecting the village from this great evil. And so I
Mhm.
think he follows them up there just like all the rest of the villagers because they believe that by ridding this great evil, it will save them all, and he's doing God's work. But by the time he gets back to the church and sees what has unfolded, he's lost all sense of his faith and everything. And so when we see him again much later, and he decides to help Simon, it's because he sees a way to redeem himself.
Right. Yeah, he feels guilty about not
He's
doing more.
guilty.
Yeah. He also, what causes this whole thing after the bat brings Dracula back to begin with, he goes out and he starts like the first you see like a girl, like a guy carrying a girl
Yeah.
with her fang marks on her neck. He walks into the tavern and puts her on the table where everybody's going to be eating later. He's just like, and then they're all just like, from that, they're like, we've got to go and take care of this because this is getting out of control. Him killing all the virgins around here or whatever.
I don't know if they're virgins, but they're definitely sick and tired of Dracula feeding on the women folk of the town.
I mean, it's not like, you only have so many of them, and he kills all the rest of them, unfortunately. So
Yeah, he kills all the women folk and the daughters because he kills the landlord's daughter in the church.
yeah, but
So
do get a new one comes into town, a waitress named Julie, who the landlord's very protective. I like it's funny that the landlord and the priest are fairly major characters, but they do not have a name. It makes it easier to identify them if they don't have a name.
landlord and priest, yeah.
It's weird. I hate when Hammer does that. I'm like, just give them a name, man.
Yeah.
Come on. It's not
And-
like they don't have. It's not like they're like
No.
one-line people. They have big parts,
No,
dude.
but we should know by now that they can't come up with original names because we have 200 Pauls and I guess another Clove after the last Clove died. So
Yeah.
I
It would have
think-
been.
no,
They would
I'm-
have. The
I'm-
names would have been lame. They would have been like stock Hammer names. Yeah.
Father Smith or
An Igor would be nice.
Yeah. But Michael Ripper has one of his bigger parts in this film. There's probably 3 or 4 he has a bigger part in, but he's in most of the Hammer movies. He has a small part. That's only one scene.
And he's always like either the tavern owner, the bartender, the hotel landlord, like in this one. He always has some kind of blue collar job.
Yeah. And sometimes, was it that one? There was like a Frankenstein one where he was like the tavern owner. Or was that no? That was the Dracula one. That was the one where Dracula like he ended up going in this one location that had a basement, and he was like a bakery. He was a bakery in that one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's very similar to the Reptile, where he's another landowner, a pub owner.
Yeah, he owns a pub that people keep running out of.
Oh, he's in the Reptile.
Yeah,
he is. He's great in that one too.
Yeah.
He shows up in everything. I like him though. I've gotten to see a lot more of his stuff now that we've been watching these movies in order, and so many of them. I begin to recognize him a lot easier than I did before.
Right. Yeah. I think once you see him in a few major parts, it's more obvious when you see him later. Like if we'd watched these earlier, we probably would have recognized him in some of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
I noticed when I was watching the early ones, and anytime I listened to people talking about him, they would always identify him, and I'm like, I don't even understand. Like you're talking about a character who's in there for like 30 seconds, and you're making a big deal about it. But now, I get it now, though.
Yeah, because he's in everything.
Yeah.
He was just on the payroll. Okay,
Yeah.
what are you doing this week, Michael? All right, you ain't doing nothing. Let's stick you in this film for 2 weeks, and then come back. We'll put you in another one.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Or maybe he was just maybe he was a friend of Anthony Hines, the producer, who was also the writer of this movie, written under the pseudonym of John Elder.
His parts got bigger as they went on. There was never like a main character, even though he's always a supporting character. But they did get bigger. They went from being like a 1 or 2 scene character to like a major supporting roles. And this one in the Mummy Shroud, not the Mummy Shroud. It was the Mummy Shroud, yeah. And,
Mummy Shroud, yeah.
And several. So you sort of see him in more like that.
Yeah.
Michael Gwynn, he had a major role in the Frankenstein movie, and a pretty big one in this one. I don't think he did that many more of them, but he's pretty predominant in this one, though, playing the priest character.
Yeah, I like his character in this film. I generally liked a lot of elements of this, and we're gonna get to, I guess, I might as well start with the Paul character, since I really like the Paul character, because the first time we see him after the massacre at the church, that is we're in whatever that town is. It starts with a K that we already.
I think it's Kleinenberg.
Yeah, it's something. That other town. The
Yeah,
town.
at least it's not Carlsbad.
Yeah, I think Carlsbad it should be the name of the other one
Yeah,
though.
the other
That
town. They mention Carlsbad, but it's like in the passing, I think.
That's like
Carlsbad's usually the name of the place that Dracula's castle's in. Maybe that is Carlsbad.
maybe because nothing good ever happens in Carlsbad.
Yes.
But I liked Paul when he's like he's having sex and with I don't did they even give her a name?
It's like the Burgomaster's
Burgomeister's
daughter.
daughter.
Oh yeah, that's very gosh. So like we're introducing Paul, the Paul of this movie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
but what got us there though was that there was a birthday party for
yeah.
his sister, who is played by a very lovely Hammer
Well,
blonde.
it's not his sister though.
That's
His brother
brother
Simon.
Simon.
Sarah is his brother's girlfriend who seems to be
Oh
kind of hung up on
yes,
Paul, so it
that's
causes a lot of tension.
that's right.
I
Yes,
think I
that's
think
oh yeah. I'm glad
Yeah.
you
Sarah
mentioned
is
that
just
because later on that gets weird. There's a dialogue scene that makes that very weird, and I will
Yeah.
mention that. But yeah, it's her
Sarah.
birthday.
Sarah doesn't have but neither one of them are her boyfriend per se. They're both pining for her. Like they're like competing for her attention. That's why they both give her those elaborate gifts on her birthday.
I think it's pretty obvious though that Simon is the one who's getting the smooches though.
No, that doesn't come till later though. When that in the party sequence when Paul breaks in or more is running away from the cops, you get a sense that these two brothers are competing for the same woman. It's not like Simon is definitely her boyfriend because Simon asked her what does she feel about his brother. So
That's the awkward scene I was gonna mention because
That's
like
Yeah.
that I
that's why
was
I don't think they're really a couple. I think that I think that they're both pining for her, and she's like the person who hasn't made a choice because she likes Paul, but
because
she
I was
hangs around
thoroughly
with Simon.
confused.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know about the writing of that. I don't know that it was necessary. Um, I think that the reason why they may have done that, Paul is not, he seems to be into her differently than other women because he does have the picture that he's taken of her and he's made like which is kind of a funny gift to give to somebody. You take a picture of them, you put it in a frame and you give them a picture of themselves.
And not only
But
that, it's broken. If you notice
yeah,
throughout the
yeah,
movie, it's got a
yeah,
crack in the glass.
Well,
right.
I think
Yeah,
it's
well,
because he was running and escaping
yeah.
from the Burgomeister's police.
But yeah, no, it had to be broken, but there's reasons for all that to happen for
Yeah,
the script. Because if it wasn't broken, then he takes it back. He's like, I'm going to fix this. So that way he has the picture on him when he ends up at Dracula's castle and
yeah,
ends up kind of like that Mina thing where
yeah.
the Clove character actually gets the picture and falls in love with Sarah immediately, just like they usually fall in love with Mina from the picture.
Uh-huh.
But here I mean, all of it's for those reasons. That's why it's written certain ways. But why,
Speaking
like,
speaking of which, written certain ways, I have the dialogue, which is hilarious, where Paul has gone missing because he was running from the burgomaster. He got into a carriage, he got out of the carriage, and bam, he gets to Dracula's castle and meets this enchanting dark-haired lass named Miss Tanya, and we'll get to her in a second. But like, he's been gone for a while, and Simon and Sarah are like they. I guess they've been on a date. It's been shortly after their the birthday party, and he's taking her to her apartment, and then he's like, or let's see, what does she say first? Like, yeah, he notices she's troubled, and she says, "Paul, will he be all right?" And then Simon says, "He's always had, he's always, he always has both at the first time. Oh yeah, he's always, this is the first time he's been in trouble." And she's like, "I know." And he means that much to you. And she says, "I'm attracted to him, but so are a lot of girls.
Yeah,
I'm worried about him because he's your brother, and I know how close you are. I don't want you to be hurt,
yeah,
ever."
yeah.
That's the
no,
dialogue.
yeah. No, I mean,
That's
it
what
had
makes
to be. I
it.
mean, yeah, it's weird. Now the thing about Paul and what happens with the Burgomaster's daughter, though, the Burgomaster's daughter is wanting him just to hang out in bed with her all the
Yeah,
time, and he's like, I gotta go. I mean, all he had to do is be like, it's my brother's birthday. I gotta go, and I'll be back, or if you can come with me or whatever. But then I gotta go, and then he like insults her, and he comes back downstairs, and then then she's like, he just raped me, because she got her dad's there. And so like all these cops are coming after him. They're saying that he raped this other girl, and Sarah's still like, she's not like concerned about his character at all. She's like, oh, he raped this other girl, and I guess
I don't think she believes
yeah,
that. And also, there's an implication that, oh, wicked, wicked Paul. He's done this sort of thing before, and he's
Yeah,
always
that's
come out ahead.
yeah. Well, they also keep in mind that in terms of the first woman that Paul's with, she's jealous because she thinks that he's going to go to another girl, which is exactly what he's doing.
yeah, yeah.
So Paul is saying, "Well, I'm going to my friend's her birthday party," and that may just make it even worse. In my eyes, Paul is thinking this is a one night stand. I've done my stand, and now I gotta go. I have a party to get to. Even though it's a young night for him, so he goes to the party, and unfortunately, he gets followed by the Burgomeister's police. And instead of explaining himself, he just keeps running. Like that's something he does a lot. Like
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to get arrested at that point. They might put him on the damn guillotine, man. It's like this Burgermeister daughter's been raped by him that she's saying, and it's not going to go good.
No, isn't this kind of like the archetype of like the Tom Jones sort of rascal? Isn't that what this is basically? I never read Tom Jones, so I don't know.
It's a little goofy. The Burgermeister is a little goofy. It's pretty short part of the film.
The way his daughter treats him and lies to him, and he just rape. And
it's like that evil of Frankenstein Burgermeister, very similar to that. But he's in it a lot less in this. He's briefly in it, but
he's briefly in this one.
But it's like that same sort of goofy thing going on where it's just like he's just a fool.
Yeah, Burgomasters in these movies are never good or respectable or anything. They're just there to be victimized, killed, and or made fun of.
They have them in the original Universal Frankenstein films too. Some of them, so they're not as goofy as these, but they're not necessarily the best. There's like that one that had like his arms. What he kept having his arms kind of ripped off and had like fake arms and stuff.
Yeah,
they made fun of him in Young Frankenstein pretty good.
Yeah, that wasn't a Burgomaster. That was a cop.
Oh yeah. Thought it was a Burgomaster.
Inspector Clint.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think a lot of the stuff with the Paul character is like that. It's all playful, extreme. I mean, even when after he has his little dance, figuratively speaking, with Sarah and Simon at the party before having to be jump out a window.
They got some accordions going on at that party too, man. It's pretty hilarious.
It's hilarious scene. And he falls through the top of wait, is that the way where he falls through the top of the carriage? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He just jumps out the window, lands it tears up somebody's carriage to get away.
And it just, and now he's like lost control of the carriage. So it's just hilarious what happens to this Paul character because he finally gets it stopped, and then he gets out of it, and then it goes away.
Yeah, that carriage is got white horses. There's always the white horse carriage, and then later on there's the black horse one.
Yeah, us finding Paul like stranded in the woods because the Dracula movies isn't anything if one character doesn't get stranded in the woods at some fucking point.
Yeah.
Yes, and I thought for sure that one of those carriages was going to be like the carriage that was like Dracula's horses, specifically the ones that abducted the couples in Dracula Prince of Darkness, I think.
Yeah, something similar happens.
I guess it could have been. Yeah, it happens. I guess it may have been one coincidence too many if they had done that. I did write down a hilarious line though when Paul gives Sarah the picture of her. He says, "Another example of my photographic genius." Yes. He's like very impressed with him. He knew, he's like, this picture is really awesome. It is so awesome that Chloe falls in love immediately with Sarah when he sees it. So
they're competing. The brothers are competing for the affections of this one woman.
But you know what? Like, I mean, it's funny though when you give somebody something and you like they compliment yourself on it. You know, that's like something she should have been saying. He compliments himself on how good of a photographer he is. You know,
Well, he's very vain.
Well, I mean, at the time, photography was a fairly new art form, and if he's a genius photographer, well, that's saying something in that day and age.
Yeah.
not going too well for him. He still like seems to be running constantly.
Yeah, but then he finds his way to the tavern where our landlord is with Julie.
And Julie, like, just pretty much like, I love the way like she sees him, and then she's buttoned herself up, but as soon as she sees him, she like unbuttons it a little bit.
This guy, the actor that plays Paul, does a really good job. He's a lot more charismatic than the actor that plays Simon, but it may just been the characters, but he really sells this. I mean, I believe that the women are fawning over him the way that they are, just from the way that he portrays the character.
Oh yeah, he's getting into her chemise like not more than 4 minutes knowing this person.
Yeah, he's like that guy, you know. It's just like,
well, that's the thing.
There are people like that though. I mean, there's guys and women just thought, you know, they see them and they're just going to do that, you know.
They set him up to be that way, and you see, like any other character, if that would have been Simon, it would have been really weird for us to see him do that. But because they set up Paul to be that way from the very beginning, it's like, of course, he's gonna try and bed the fucking barmaid, just because she's there.
Well, she seems like she's like, it's almost like she wants to do it with him when she sees him. Like she's like Thomas said, she's unbuttoning her shirt and like, okay, let's not even when he can see it, because she shows up in the window at first, and then she comes downstairs and then she thinks twice about opening the door, and instead of opening the door, she unbuttons her shirt some more and then opens the door. So
pretty
good character moment.
He tries to seduce her, and then bam, in comes Michael Ripper. Like, what are you doing?
Damn cock blocker coming in there, you know.
Yes.
The landlord is like blocking everything. I kind of wonder about the motivation for the landlord.
Because like I thought that's his daughter, but it's not.
No. He's trying to get up on that, but Paul's like, she's like, I don't know. It's just never like any kind of like mention of that, but I really think that he's trying to get up on it.
Oh yeah,
maybe even getting another new wife or something, but she doesn't seem like interested.
Oh, well, he makes comment that she reminds him of his daughter.
Oh, yeah, I think maybe that's what it is. Like she's not his daughter, but his daughter and his wife were slaughtered by bats.
Yeah,
a while ago.
He does treat her like a daughter more than anything. He treats her like a dad would come in and finding your daughter like mad that the daughter's doing that.
Yeah, and yet he keeps her completely in the dark about what happened until like towards the end of the movie when he finally tells her.
Yeah.
Too late though.
Yeah. Little late.
Well, he didn't want her to leave, you know, so that's why he says he didn't tell her. That's like the last scene he's in too.
Well, that's the problem I have with his character. I mean, if you had come across a stranger and you want to protect him from like the crazy curse that you see your town under, then the first thing you wouldn't do in the middle of the night is like kick them out. You'd be like what's it? American Werewolf in London. Stay here, don't go out at night. Stay here, you're safe here.
Yeah, but that's what makes it makes it a little more interesting, because that's what he should be doing. Like, but he actually doesn't give a shit anymore. He just doesn't care. He just tells them to leave, to go to the castle. He really truly does not care.
Yeah,
whether they do it or not, because there's people who he doesn't feel guilty about it at all. He's like, they're going to their deaths, and I don't care. All I care about is protecting this tavern and maybe this new girl who's hanging out here. You know?
Yeah.
Well, if he does that to all his new patrons, he won't get any new patrons.
I mean, also let's be fair here. It's we've made a comment that like each time the Dracula is resurrected, he only sticks around for a few days or a week before he's killed again. This is probably the first of the movies that implies that time has
Yeah,
passed
time is back.
since Dracula has risen from the grave again. In the beginning of this movie, so we really don't know how long Dracula's reign of terror has gone
No,
over these people.
no, there's no indication either
No
that to
indication.
figure
It
that
could be
out.
years for all we know.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
because all we know is that no one has gone back to the church since the incident,
it
and
could. I mean, it could be a
covered up.
very short amount of time too, though. But like Dracula, once you get into his castle, he has been able to reset some stuff up. So it's got to be long enough that he was able to kind of get that one little room that he has left that didn't burn down back
Well,
into place.
Clove makes a big deal, and more than once, to Paul, that there's like huge chunks of this castle have been burned down and destroyed, and it's a terrible tragedy. The
Yeah,
villagers, they wouldn't leave my master alone. But what I find hilarious is that if you look at the sets, the castle looks pretty cool,
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Everything
yeah.
looks pretty nice. Like, where are these damaged parts of the castle we see? The only thing that looks remotely damaged is that one little part in the exterior with that little bit of very unsafe parapet that has a bit of wall missing
Yeah,
that
they
comes
keep,
back
yeah,
to
yeah,
bite
they
them.
keep, yeah, they show that over and over again. Every time they show the outside, they show like a close up of that little drop off, which comes
So
important later in the last scene.
so you
But
don't forget it.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, because I guess what's bad about that is when it first shows the castle, it doesn't look too much different than later on, so you don't get to see. I guess they didn't have the budget to show like a burnt part of the castle, or you see it getting burnt, but you don't see pieces of it missing.
Mm-mm. I don't
Well,
know.
it wouldn't be missing because the rocks,
Yeah,
sorry,
the
the
rocks, but
masonry, the
yeah,
stone
yeah,
would not wouldn't crumble that badly from that kind of fire. It's the interior of the castle that would be all mangled. But depending on how long it's been since, yeah, but depending on how long it's been since the last movie, you would think Clove would do something to fix it. But I guess Clove is just lazy.
yeah, he's they got lots of other stuff to be contending with though, because he's
And
just got to be, yeah,
Dracula, all he cares about is getting the ladies. He doesn't really care
yeah, yeah.
about his castle looking all nice.
It's going to take more than one clove to fix that, like a burnt castle, I think.
But
'Cause especially
I would also think that the front of the castle would be more burnt because everybody for the villagers came in through the front entrance, so the main entrance should be like burnt to a fucking crisp somewhere. But
yeah, they
like I said,
fixed it. They fixed
suspension
it,
of
and yeah,
disbelief is
yeah,
how I
yeah.
get past that.
Well, they harp on it so many times, like
They
almost
do.
every scene when they go back there, Dracula has to go on about it, and he has to say it in a way that he pauses, and everyone's like, "What do you mean the castle burned?" And it's like, "Oh wow, we're changing the subject now."
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the castle. I mean, I've said this before, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, where I had this nice little theory that the castle only lives that like in Werner Herzog's Nosferatu, the castle exists in a world where the laws of physics and time and space don't really apply that much. That sometimes it because it exists, Dracula's castle exists in like the realm of the unconscious and the realm of the dead, and so it's like some people can look at it and not see it, or in this case, perhaps in this movie, some people can look at a castle that's been damaged, but really it looks beautiful, looks nice. So maybe in the beginning of the movie, we're actually seeing it from Paul's perspective. That to Paul, who's never seen it, has no idea who Dracula even is. Probably, it looks nice because that's the way the castle wants him to think it looks. Otherwise, it won't be so inviting. The castle has to be inviting in order for people to come in. That's one thing actually I kind of like about this Hammer series is that Dracula's castle, depending on the movie, is a very important
yeah.
character. It has its own thing to play.
Yeah. This is the last gothic Hammer horror film in the Dracula series. It's the last time it connects this, except for the very beginning of the next one, but it's just kind of the end of the gothic Hammer horror right here.
Mm.
Yeah, pretty much. And they kind of got away from the castle and Taste the Blood of Dracula. So really it's only like three or four or three and a half of these Hammer Draculas where the castle is really kind of the star of the show. And this is one of them.
Yeah. I like the castle though. I like the aspect of it. It's too bad that they wanted to get rid of it completely. I like the gothic sensibility of them, but
Well,
they
actually,
were going into the 70s and they had to get more eventually into like a spy era and then the
Oh, jeez.
swinging 70s.
Oh gosh, we'll get to that eventually. But it is unclear how long Dracula has been reigning its terror. But as whatever it was long enough for him to get a new bride, and that is the Lady Tanya.
yes.
And she actually introduces herself uh, as like Dracula, and he and she both have a lot of dialogue, and they kind of be host to it. It's kind of that whole sequence with them kind of builds off of the what I like to call the Dracula's castle as Airbnb from hell
Yeah.
aspect of things, where Dracula is obliged because of his honor to entertain travelers. He has to be hospitable to them because it's part of his family lineage,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
This is the first time you kind of see him do this at the beginning of Horror of Dracula, but he usually in the other films is just an asshole completely, and he doesn't really try to talk to people. But
He
he
does a lot of
also
dialogue.
harkens back to like the Bela Lugosi's Dracula too, where
Yeah.
he was very similar in that trying to host somebody to trick them and to get them to stay longer for whatever reason. But I mean, I like Christopher Lee having more dialogue, giving him more stuff to do. I like seeing two different aspects of him trying to be that gentleman host again, but he's still like when he turns into becomes savage, he is very savage.
Yeah, although I will say there's some scenes where I don't know about you guys, but I feel like his acting is a little weird. Like, I mean, maybe it's intentional, but like there's times where he seems like really stilted, and his delivery is kind of so blah that it almost borders on just sleepwalking. And then there are other times where he is super arch and way over the top, especially like later on where he just goes full, Tasmanian devil and just like Norman Bates' Tanya to death with a knife. His
Yeah,
eyes are just so bugging out of his head that it's like,
yeah.
whoa,
That's
Dracula's
just
on cocaine.
yeah. That's awesome when that happens. But that's what he does though when like these women get out of control and they like do shit he don't like, and it's like he busts into the room and acts like that. But
You
yeah,
got
I
to
don't
keep
know.
those
People
wenches in
often, but
control, huh?
I
yeah,
think
but
maybe he's trying to pull back for the other scenes. So because he knows he has to get big and he wants there to be like a very dramatic difference in the way that he acts between them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be also that let's face it here. At this point in Christopher Lee's career, he was very unhappy with the quality of the scripts that he was getting, especially with this movie's script. He really thought that this movie could just as easily have been done with any other vampire.
well, yeah.
And if you want to see examples of that, you obviously just go to Brides of Dracula, or you could go to another movie that we're going to talk about at some point, the very awesome Kiss of the Vampire. But as much as I love Kiss of the Vampire, I feel like Lee is kind of wrong because I feel like almost any Hammer vampire movie they've ever done, aside from say Countess Dracula, which is about Elizabeth Bathory, I feel like all those movies could have been better if he was Dracula in them. I mean, in spite of his performance being a little uneven, he just brings so much just being him. And the
Yeah.
baggage that he brings of being Dracula makes everything more interesting to me. I think Kiss of the Vampire would have been even better if he was the Dracula, or sorry, if he were the vampire cult leader in that instead of that random, blonde-haired dude.
Yeah. It would have been. But
A random
I
blonde
mean,
dude.
actually, I don't know. I don't necessarily consider his performance uneven here. I think, but there's a little bit of trivia about this. So they were making this. It was kind of like a Hammer reboot going into the early 70s here, and then they got a pretty big budget, 100,000, I think $100,000 each for this
100,000
one.
pounds.
This one, yeah, I don't know how to, but basically they wanted to reboot Dracula and Frankenstein. Like someone gave them some money, and they're like, we want a Frankenstein and a Dracula film, and so they made the horror of Frankenstein and the Scars of Dracula. They they made them so that they could include Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee, but if they couldn't get them, then they were going to do it without them, and they would just recast Dracula. They
Ah,
recast Frankenstein in the horror of Frankenstein, which they luckily went back to Peter Cushing
Yeah.
another time. But that was that's where their heads were at. They're like, you know what? If they're not playing ball, we're just going to plow through it. We're going to get another actor in here, and we're going to make it happen without them because these are the breadwinners, Frankenstein and Dracula.
Well, yeah, I guarantee you they thought that those were, not only the breadwinners, but it was what they were known for, it's what people expected, and that's what they kind of fell back on. But money always has a way of corrupting our creative talents.
Yeah. Speaking of money and the money they threw at the sets for this movie, one thing I noticed watching it is how the excellent use of red in this movie, like the red drapes on the bed, the red candles, the red bedding. There's so much red in this movie. It's all fire and blood.
It looks that looks really good in 4K too, because that red's an interesting color in 4K. It really pops out at you.
Okay.
Cool.
Those the contacts though, when you see his contacts in this one, sometimes when he goes in to bite somebody's neck and then he looks up and looks directly at the camera with these red ass eyes.
Yeah, no. Since this is not a visual podcast, ladies and gentlemen, he's talking about the traditional bloodshot, veiny red eyes that Christopher Lee wore whenever he goes full vampire. Not to be confused with the solid red contacts that I think are even cooler, that he only wore for about half a second when he was being resurrected and tastes the blood of Dracula.
He would not have been able to see anything with those. There was like a solid red, but I don't know, these look really awesome though, because it's like his whole eyes, and he doesn't have them on when he's regular, like not when he's calm, but when he gets into beast mode is when his eyes are suddenly bloodshot red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thinking of going back to Tanya, like I didn't think when we were first seeing her whether she's full vampire or not, because that's another thing that's never quite made clear in the lore of this one is how many bites does it take to become full vampire?
I never thought about that. I just kind of saw her as one of his brides because I kind of saw the whole Harker / traditional Dracula story kind of being underlaid here.
I mean, he bites her neck. He feeds on her.
Yeah,
I think that changes her, but she's able to go and have sex with Paul.
Oh yeah, because she makes him think, or I don't know, maybe she really does want to escape and thinks that Paul is her way out. So, Bow Chicka Wow Wow with you, so I can get out. I don't know.
Yeah, I think like she just wanted to have sex with Paul because he's like Paul.
Because he's Paul.
Everybody wants to have sex with Paul, even a vampire who is like typically gonna like be the person in control is not in control because of Paul is just too much. He's too much for any girl to handle.
Yeah, like the next
I didn't think about that, but that's a good point that you bring up. That could just be it.
His magnetism is so much that she can restrain herself until the next morning when she looks at his neck and thinks yum, and then bares her vampire teeth.
That's what pisses Dracula off. It's not her having sex with Paul. I guess he is okay with that. Like some reason he knows. Like, once her fangs come out and she's going to go for that neck, that's when he busts into the room and he's madder than hell.
Yeah. He doesn't say it, but I think this is supposed to be a variation on a scene that's in the novel, but also that Bela Lugosi made famous with the beginning with Harker getting swarmed by his vampire brides and. Lugosi famously comes in and goes, "He's mine."
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how I saw it. So originally,
yeah. So like he's basically like, "He's mine," and you've pissed me off for the last time. I get the impression she's done this before, actually, because and so then of course he just goes full Norman Bates on her and stabs her to death with a knife.
Yeah, that was that was pretty crazy that he stabs her with a knife, and apparently. He goes in and he sucks. It cuts. There apparently was a scene that they cut out of. They had to cut some scenes out of this to get the rating down. But he sucks her blood out of the stab wounds. So that's what he was doing. And later on, when he's in the coffin with a big ass grin on his face and there's still blood coming out, that's what that's from. So,
well, Dracula would be like, "Waste not, want not."
Yeah. Which is hilarious. It's that big grin on his face when he opens the coffin. He's sitting there like sleeping in a
Yeah.
slumber, just thinking about how awesome it was when he sucked that blood out of her. He's like, man, that was
Yeah,
awesome. Is
yeah. And
that
Paul discovers him because he's trapped in Dracula's castle, kind of the same way that Harker is trapped in Dracula's castle in like Horror of
yeah,
Dracula and the original novel. So he's trying to get his way out, but Clove won't let him. And it seems, and so of course he's like the window, and he goes and finds out that there is a he does that old make ropes out of bed sheets thing.
yeah.
That trick always works, right?
So yeah, so there's a yeah that would you'd be dead, but like the drop is so far of a drop that it's down a cliff, and then but there's a window below the window. He looks out his window. There's only one other window that's down below, and that's what he
Yeah,
uses those bed sheets to get to. And luckily, they work out okay for him.
yeah. Except it doesn't
For
really
the
help him
beginning.
because it
For the
gets into
beginning.
Dracula's. But that window kicks him into Dracula's crypt, which
Yeah,
apparently has no exit. There is no way out, and that's where he finds old Dracula just sleeping there, all looking all content. And
yeah.
that's pretty much the last we see of Paul for a
Yeah.
very
Yeah, the
long time.
Clove does bring the bed sheets up. Somehow he knows that he went out the window. I don't know how he knows, but he knows shit. Yeah, but maybe he can see in there like Norman Bates. Like maybe he's got a hole where he can see into the room.
That would be super
Yeah,
creepy, Dave Watkins, and I would not put it past him.
yeah,
Yeah, this Clove character here definitely I would think that he might have, since that's the guest rooms where they always take the guests who are actually going to be Dracula's victims. So I would
yeah.
think, yeah, that's not a bad idea. So
Yeah. So Paul gets down there and he has an opportunity to kill Dracula, and he like just doesn't. Because he doesn't know how to kill him. I don't guess either. But he could throw him out the fucking window, I guess. I mean, what's he do? Just wait for him to wake up? And we don't know exactly what happens, but it's not good.
that's not good. That's not
I
good.
mean, he stayed there all day, so you gotta believe that he probably just relieved himself in the corner of Dracula's tomb. So that's probably the real reason why Dracula's ticked off at him is he probably peed all over Dracula's other coffins while he was waiting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a cool mystery though when it happens because it's kind of like you don't know what happened to Paul. You know, there's a secret room that only Dracula can get to, so you don't know exactly what happened to him. So the rest of the film, you're kind of wondering what's going on and what happened to him, and then you find out later on.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like this movie just goes on for like almost 40 minutes almost. We're thinking,
Yeah,
where the frick is Paul? I didn't even
you,
really care that much about the characters. I didn't really care much about Paul, but I had to know what the heck happened
Well,
to him.
yeah,
yeah,
same here. I was like, oh man, Paul may be still alive. He may be sucking the blood off of Paul, like what he did with Jonathan Harker's character. I was
yeah.
that might be it, but it is tragic when we see what actually happens to Paul. Although with this Dracula here, we're not really that surprised because he has a temper.
Yes, he doesn't suffer fools that easily.
No. But it goes right. I mean, I guess the time it's a day, right? That they believe he's been missing, and they start looking for him, right?
Yeah.
Simon and Sarah,
Well, he's not even missing though. Remember, the police are looking for him,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and like so, I guess they're trying to find him.
Well, they say that he didn't come back. So he didn't come back from wherever he was, and so they're concerned about him, and the police are after him. And I can't remember if Simon makes a comment about that or not, but
Yeah, he does. He does because at this point, Simon and Sarah become detectives and start
yes,
looking for Paul because they know the police do not care. They just want to find him to arrest him, and they're thinking, well, if we find Paul first, they won't arrest him. But they go to the tavern and they're like, bugger off, and he doesn't. They don't seem to care. Meanwhile, back at Dracula's homestead, Clove is basically Dracula's janitor, which I think is hilarious. He basically spends the whole time cleaning up after Dracula's messes.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
that's what I was saying. He even doesn't have time to like remodel the house. You know?
Clove probably doesn't get any sleep either because
Yeah.
Dracula's up all night, and Clove's got to be up all day to make sure that everything's copacetic. But what he does is he comes into the bedroom with the red curtains and everything, still sees the corpse of Tanya, and chops her to pieces
Yeah.
just so he can stuff her in this thing, and he like freaking like wipes up the blood with a mop and stuff, and that's where he finds the photo thing. He finds the little photo
Well,
locket.
he actually he drags in like a bathtub, and I think he chops her up, puts her in the acid, so it's like an acid bath
It's got to
that he
be
gets rid of her in that.
yeah, it's
Uh,
got to be an acid bath that he probably borrowed from Dr. Frankenstein in
yeah.
Curse of Dracula or
Yeah.
Curse of Frankenstein.
But can you imagine though, after you do that and you got to drag the damn bathtub back out of the room, how dangerous that shit would be? What are you
That's
going to
pretty.
dump that at? You know, hey, you should have
Yeah,
I
taken.
don't care. He makes his
Well,
clothes do whatever the hell he wants them to
but
do.
why would I mean? Obviously, this is for because he wanted to make the scene simpler. But the way to have done it would be to take her, maybe in pieces, out of the room and take the bath outside and acid bath her outside somewhere.
wait a minute,
Or
wait a minute, wait a minute. We're overthinking this, ladies and gentlemen. We are
Well,
overthinking this disposing of this body of this fictional person. All Clove has to do is chop her to pieces, mop up the blood, take all the bed sheets, put all the pieces in the bed sheets that are soaked in blood anyway, and toss it out the freaking window because that window opens to a bottomless chasm in
yeah,
which
yeah.
nobody is ever going to find that body. That body will be devoured by Transylvanian wolves.
And if they
exactly
did
right.
find the body, what does it matter? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that makes much more sense. But
But
it would have been more visually cool too to see him throw the body out the window and see the body.
Yes. Another visual effects shot they probably couldn't afford.
yeah.
Jesus, why you guys always got to bring in stuff they couldn't afford?
But I mean, they afford it later on a little bit though when Clove falls,
They can
down.
only afford it once in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, it is cheaper though to get some prop bathtub and acid stuff. But yeah,
Oh
but
Jesus!
when the police come to the tavern first before Simon does, like two police from Kleinenberg come in there and they're they ask they're basically questioning, trying to find Paul, and the landlord's like, "You guys want some?" I think he wants some beer. Yeah, he says, "You want some beer?" And they're like, "Well, we got wine at the last tavern." He's like, "Well, we just have beer here," sort of thing. He's kind of grouchy, but then and then the girl, the waitress, Julie's like, "Hey, I saw him. He went to the castle." And they're like, "The castle?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's really far away." You're like, "Yeah, we may have to go back before we can check the castle out if it's that far away." And so the cops are kind of scared of the castle, so that
Yeah.
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
them out of there pretty good.
Which is interesting that they know about this castle, or the superstitions around it. And no one else seems to from the original town.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
they just it's very short scene, but yeah, we see the cops come in there, but because of Simon and Sarah are right probably the same day, and then they get there, and the guy driving them, they're like, "Hey, can you wait for us for like 5 minutes when we go in here and talk to these guys?" And the guy's like, "No, I got to go."
Is he the guy with the
Yeah,
carriage of
Yeah.
hay?
yeah.
Oh,
He's
I
like,
love that guy because that guy's hat. His hat is
It's
ridiculous. It's like a hat that his brim has been ruined. Like the brim is coming off of his hat. Like it's this guy is like it's like the costume department was like, no, his outfit doesn't look crappy enough. We've got to just take this hat and just kind of drag it. And maybe they're trying to tear the rim off, but they were like, the rest of it won't come off. I just leave it like that. It looks bad. And Robert Roy Baker, or whoever the guy's name is, the director, is probably like, it's fine.
Roy Ward Baker.
Roy Ward Baker,
Yeah.
God bless him.
But
okay.
but that guy's like, "Hey, I'm not waiting. Screw you guys." And then they go in there. But there's some dialogue too where he's like, "Sarah, I want you to go back with this weird dude, and I'm going to go in here." And she's like, "No, Simon, I'm with you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave Paul." And then it's like, and then they then they go in there and they talking to the dude. At first, they don't tell him, the landlord. They're like, "Hey, yeah, we're on." He thinks they're on vacation. He actually comes up with it. He thinks they're from the college and they're just on vacation. And he's like, they're like, "We got anything to eat?" And he's like, "All I got is soup and cheese." So you got soup and cheese and beer is what they have at that tavern. That's it. And then
That's
he's
all you
cool.
need to survive. Soup,
Yeah,
cheese,
yeah. I wonder how the soup is.
or
We never
stew.
get we never get to see it because he starts asking questions about Paul. They should at least waited till they got some food first because he's
Don't you
like,
know, but Dave, don't you know nobody eats anything in movies? They order things, they never eat it because they always got some other business they got to do.
no, it always bothers me though because I'm like, I want to see the soup because it should have been like, hey, yeah, let's get some food, and then it cuts to they're finishing the soup up. Okay, oh, by the way, you see my I've been looking for Paul, but yeah, so they're looking for Paul, and then of course he gets defensive immediately and gets very highly defensive, and he has all his cronies kick him out of there, like
Yeah.
Simon out. But it's like what we are talking about earlier, where he's going to kick them out, and he don't care that they're going to die.
Yeah,
Even
well,
like, yeah,
it's weird because he kicks them both out. Like,
yeah,
it's just so weird that yeah, like I was like waiting for his ass to get killed at some point. Like he's such an uncaring character, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I think what it was, I mean, it's not that great a script is what it is. But anyway, but what you could say is if you want to justify it, maybe it could have been in an earlier draft that maybe they were trying to say that the villagers were basically complacent with Dracula, like they just gotten used to him being there, and that they're doing this thing where they're basically kind of sort of basically feeding weary
Right.
travelers to
Yeah.
Dracula so that Dracula will leave them alone.
Well, that
I
makes
think,
sense. That makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's what they're secretly really doing, but maybe they're justifying it in their head that, oh, I'm keeping myself safe by getting these people away, because maybe on their conscious mind they're thinking, oh, if I have new people here, then Dracula or one of his bats, or
Yeah.
God forbid, one of his brides will come in and sweep this guy off and spread their vampire nests over this place.
And
But no,
yeah, I mean, because if it's better than losing more villagers, because you don't even know these random people that show up.
yeah, I mean that's really what the mythos of the vampire is really all about. It's the fear of strangers. It's the fear of foreigners. It's the fear of the unknown.
Mm.
And specifically, it's like, I mean, that's why Dracula is a foreigner. That's why he's from Transylvania in the book. He is a foreigner coming to England, and he's this weird guy that British polite society puts up with him as every weirdness, his every uncanny inhumanness, because A, it's British polite society, and B, they just assume, oh, he's foreign. That's how they all are.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so in this case, it's the strangers are, the people who aren't in our town, those who are unfamiliar, the foreigners.
Hmm.
Well, let's just send them out, get them out of here, and send them to their doom, because they're not us. And that's okay. Yeah, we're beyond that now, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
In this
So,
country.
yeah.
So anyway, but then they finally do meet Dracula, though. Sarah and Simon do follow the breadcrumbs
Yeah.
to the castle,
It's
and
when
they meet
Ah,
Dracula.
yes, but they get attacked by bats first.
Oh, that's right, because we gotta remind us about Batty and his
Yeah.
friends who are pulling security. Like,
Yeah.
Batty has multiple jobs.
We get the bat watches them too. We see the bat actually watching them
as they're walking through the
Yeah.
woods. The bat's watching. I'm like,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
very interesting what they do with the bat in this movie.
I swear, the Bat should have gotten his own screen credit.
Yeah.
But
But then we do. It does cut before that happens. It cuts to Clove.
mhm.
He has that picture of Sarah, and he's like, "Oh
Yeah.
man, this is a good picture, man. This is like professional photography,
That is
genius."
love at first sight.
Yeah, he's like, "This is genius photography."
Well, the bats chase these two into Dracula's castle, where they meet Dracula right off the bat. Like, I've been waiting for you two to show up. This kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he meets them right off the bat, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
good
he's
fun.
like, he's just standing there. He's looking really bizarre here, and then Simon gives a big explanation for a long period of time, and then like Dracula ends up saying they can stay there, but then he just picks Sarah up and walks off with her ass.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
because
so
she,
odd.
well, she faints basically.
Yeah, she gets
and
like
it's
really like she because like a woman would typically do with a bat chasing them. You know how in these movies.
No,
yeah,
there's a fight between her and Dracula. Dracula's putting the
Yeah,
whammy on her, and then
yeah,
she kind of faints, and he catches her and just takes her
yeah,
off. And
yeah,
Is this when Clove says, "Oh, she'll be fine" or something? I can't remember his exact words though.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
while Clove is giving him like some blankets and stuff to sit, you're in front of the fire. We're giving her a room.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. You're sleeping on the couch because I guess the implication is the millions of other millions of other bedrooms that are in this giant castle have all been burned by
yeah.
the evil peasants,
I
except
I
for that
think
one.
maybe yeah, I think maybe that's the whole reason for all the talk about it burning because they wanted to put Paul on that couch and not have to do a room and make an extra room. So that's why there's so much dialogue about the other rooms not being burned down.
Yep, they're trying to save money on the
Big
budget.
money. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I assume too, dude. With as few rooms as we see in this film, that's how I kind of pictured it. So
Yep.
it's fine. I
They
mean,
were they're like on and on talking about how it was burned down too. So it's like
it didn't really take anything away from. I just kind of noticed it now. I'm sure that when the movie originally came out, there's a lot of audience people who just didn't think that way, but because so much time has passed, we think about it now. It's like, oh, it's budgetary things. That's why they're keeping it to so few rooms and all that type of stuff, compared to some of the other previous films and how big they looked. So
yeah. It's kind of funny that Dracula has a couch out there in that one room that Paul can just crash on. Or Simon, I keep calling him Paul, but
Paul Simon, there you go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and
But
now we
did
see the Garfunkel.
We got a Clofunkel. How about it?
But Dracula, like, here's the thing: it's like he brings her back to the bedroom, and I guess they want some more time with this because I mean, he could have just taken care of business here. He could have just went ahead and did what he needed to do with Sarah, and then taken care of Paul too. But he actually leaves the room, but he comes back in there. There is a problem because Sarah's got a cross necklace around her neck. And
Yes,
so
the cross.
yeah, yeah. So that kind of puts a damper on the whole plan of just like biting her neck and killing her, whatever they're going to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this the actress who plays her, Sarah, there's an interview with her on one of these discs, and she was talking about how that's her own cross. That they're like they didn't they were asking her if she had one. She's like, yeah, I'll bring it. And they tried to keep it, but she ended up having it. She's in the interview, which is like she's a lot older in the interview. She's still alive now, and she still has the cross. She's like, I still got it. Check it out. So.
She has a piece of Hammer history around her neck.
Well, she brought that piece too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's her
it's
own
funny,
cross, but they still tried to keep it. They're like, for continuity, we need to keep it.
I was like,
What's funny too is like I was listening to a podcast. Oh, it was a thing. No, it was a TikTok thing with Jack Black, and he was talking about how props when you've got movie props, and he keeps trying to basically keep props from his movies, and a
Yeah.
lot of actors try to do that. And he says that they never let you do that because like they don't want anybody else to, but if you do insist on it, they'll make you sign a paper saying that you will never sell it and that when you die it comes back to the studio.
there's a lot of movies where they make you pay for it too.
Yeah, that. But then he said the other thing, so he solved that problem for School of Rock by basically just buying a guitar from Guitar Center and just bringing it to the set, and that's his guitar. So that's how he got to keep the guitar from School of Rock. So that's the same kind of thing happening here with her cross. She brought her own cross, and then they tried to take it from her. She's like, "No, it's my cross."
Yeah, she said her explanation was if anybody's going to wear this cross, if you got to pick anything up, it's going to be me, so you'll have to bring me back anyway. So, which
There you go.
which there is a later on there's a pretty big close up shot of her cleavage with the cross. You
Mhm.
see, which
Yep.
Yeah,
But it's funny.
I think that's. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was about to say I was about to go right into the scene that we're talking about, but you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think that's Hammer's justification for zooming in on her boobs.
Of course.
It's like the justification of the holy with the profane.
Well, this is the 70s now. We're hitting the 70s, so we start seeing a little bit more cleavage in a lot of these films, you know.
Yeah, but we don't see any breasts in this movie. We see a butt, but we do not see a female breast quite yet.
But she's wearing the cross, and obviously Dracula can't get to his nightly feeding frenzy because she's wearing the cross. And she has Clove come in to take the cross off of her, which I thought I like this kind of sequence here because Clove turns around and realizes who she is, and he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, he just completely leaves the room
Completely
too,
leaves the room, and it's
and
like,
that's like that ends up he ends up getting whipped pretty good for that. But
Oh, he doesn't just get whipped.
yeah,
We find out
yeah,
later that it's like, and maybe this is really what the title "Scars of Dracula" refers to.
yeah,
or
yeah. There you go.
We
That's what
find,
it is.
yeah, we find out that he's not really whipping Clove so much as he is spearing his flesh with a
Yeah.
scimitar that he has in the fire.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
You know,
find
when
that
that when that's hilarious. Like just how into that scene Christopher Lee is, how crazy he
it
looks
looks
when
hard.
he's
Yeah.
doing that. It's like,
He's enjoying that way too
Oh
yeah,
much.
yeah. It's just like that look that he has on his face. That's it right there. That thing.
yeah, but this whole sequence leads us to the fact that these two don't get killed that night. Like the next day they wake up and half the day is gone, but they're not dead. Like you would be like a typical.
Right, yeah, yeah, because Dracula doesn't get to kill Sarah, but he could have killed the other two guys if he wanted to. Like he
No,
could have killed he this Dracula does seem to be into the women though.
Yeah,
He doesn't seem like we were talking about earlier like Lugosi is like more like he wants the guy too, like Jonathan Harker, but he definitely seems like he just wants the chicks. Because he
yeah, that's
doesn't.
the yeah. Christopher Lee's Dracula is a bit straighter
Yeah,
than
yeah.
previous Draculas who code as bisexual.
Yeah. Because because he could have went out there and taken care of Simon, and he could
yeah,
have fed, and he could have been sitting there grinning with a bunch of blood coming out of his mouth in his coffin. But
yeah,
no.
yeah, and he would have been completely safe because he would eventually get around to getting Sarah. Now that she didn't have any protection from Simon, but no, they both survived to the next morning. Uh, and then, of course, Simon starts doing his so-called investigation of everything going around, which is just kind of funny to me. I gotta go find information from Clove of all people.
Yeah,
Right, right. It's one of those two when they wake up and it's already really late. They're like, we slept in late. They apparently Dracula, it seems like he drugged Simon because he gives him like some wine, and when he drinks it, it knocks his ass
Mhm.
out. So he drug
Oh
him, and
yeah, yeah, I guess
yeah,
so. Yes, you are absolutely right. That I didn't even think about that because he slept late too, so he must have been drugged.
yeah.
I know they
And
try
then
to
they,
drug her
yeah,
later, but
yeah,
yeah,
they try to drug her with the broth again, and then they don't. I mean, Clove ends up saving her because he's just like it's funny how Clove. Just from that picture, he's like completely in love with her, infatuated with her. And he'll risk his own life and everything just to save her, just because of that really like what was it that picture that Paul took
It's a cameo
yeah
locket, pretty much.
yeah yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, essentially that instead of having Dracula see the picture of me enthralled with her, we see Clove enthralled with her. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting to go that route with this type of story. But as we discussed in the last for the last film, we start seeing some of the aspects from the original story follow their way through these later sequels. Uh,
Yes, and there's another aspect that will show up later on. That's the one bit of Dracula's power set that we've never seen before in any of these Hammer movies, and I'm pretty sure we never see it again. But I'll talk about it when we get to it.
okay.
That yeah, so they get back to town again, like eventually it's like Simon and Sarah, and they go back in there, and the landlord's not helpful again, and they keep thinking he's going to help for some reason.
But then the
Yeah,
priest is
yeah,
there.
yeah. The priest is there.
Still.
He overhears everything. So's the girl, who's kind of helpful some,
Oh,
even though she tells him wrong shit. I mean, bad shit. I mean,
Well,
because
Yeah.
before
I forgot her name. I just call her raven-haired lass.
Julie,
it's Julie,
Julie. Well,
but
Julie.
she, yeah, I mean, she tells him to go to the castle. I mean, if it's like she doesn't know any better,
doesn't
but
know.
yeah, but she's telling him wrong information.
Yeah, and there's no one who's correcting her. That's the problem.
Yeah,
They don't tell her the truth about the castle or anything about the superstitions. And that's what eventually makes her fed up with working there. But she's telling this information to not only Paul but also Simon and Sarah, and she just gets fed up with it because she doesn't know what's going on with these people here. And she calls the landlord a coward at one point. I think that's when she has her last straw with them. But for those who hadn't seen the movie, I want to make sure that we realize that this is where they use Dracula's carriage to get back to the tavern. And as soon as they're there, the carriage goes right back, because Clove is this weird character that kind of plays both sides of the fence on with the carriage.
yeah. He does weird stuff, like he brings the tray with the poisoned broth or the roofied broth to her door and the food, and then later on it changes his mind. It's like he's schizophrenic or something, or split personality.
He doesn't save her for the broth. Simon saves her for the broth, but he tells Simon that it's drugged. Remember, Simon rushes through the door and knocks it out of her hand.
Right.
But Clove doesn't need to tell him that, but Clove has this weird allegiance thing that goes back and forth, so you're not really 100% sure exactly. And I like that about the character. Like, he's like conflicted out the ass, so.
Yeah, and that's what motivates him to get scourged, seared by Dracula. It's he coasts to his master and goes, "I have sinned, master."
Yeah.
So, and this of course plays into the aspect, the idea, the role that Dracula sometimes has in these movies as Dracula as cult leader. Like, even when he doesn't literally have a cult, his followers treat him like he's Messiah, like he is a god, like he is somebody you just give all your full allegiance to. He's the source of their immortality. He's the source of their pleasure and vitality and security, and in Clove's case, job security.
Yeah.
So he's got all his eggs in the Dracula basket, and like, why is he trying to get out of it? Because he's got a conscience. He's still human. He hasn't been fully turned, and since he's a familiar, he can't be fully turned. He's got to be in the daylight to do the daylight things that Dracula can't do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of an interesting aspect to it, where he's like, "I have sinned here. Whip me across the back." It's almost like Dracula becomes sort of like this weird caricature of the church that rejected him long ago.
Interesting, yeah.
Well, that's speaking of the church. That's with the priest. He beats them outside, Simon and Sarah, and he brings them to the church where the bats massacred everybody, and it's got blankets all over all the pews. Nobody's used it since that happened.
Well, I bet the blood was impossible to get out of the fabric.
Yeah.
They didn't have to shout back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you can't tell how long you can't tell how long it's been, but it is a he basically, the priest knows a lot about what's going on. He says they need to stay there until the morning.
Yeah, he's smart. He's smart. He said, "At daybreak, we will kill him together."
Yeah.
Instead of trying to do this in the middle of the night like some people do, or at the edge of dawn like some idiots have done in this franchise. No, he's like, "At daybreak, we will kill them together." He's smart.
Now, luckily, the bat doesn't come and kill him like it could have done, but the bat only does that at the beginning of it. So I don't know that's something that's a little bit of a continuity error, because that bat could just come and get him, but
I think it can only do so if Dracula commands it to.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. I'm not sure if Dracula actually knew of all the things that were transpiring that day yet.
That's true.
Yeah, Dracula is not omniscient. But it's during this time, I think, is when poor raven-haired lass Julie leaves, gets curious. She's like, "I'm sick of your crap," to her not dad, played by Michael Ripper. And she somehow ends up at Dracula's castle,
But
And that's when he kills her.
When they get her in the woods,
they get her
that's
in
when
the woods.
the bat sees her and he comes
Yeah.
back and tells Dracula, and Dracula sends Clove out with the black carriage to get her, the
Yeah,
black
because Julie
horses.
is going back to her own town, wherever the fuck that is.
Yeah, we
In the
never
middle
know
of the
who that makes.
night, so
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
because she thinks she's perfectly safe. Like, it's
Oh, right,
just
yeah.
craziness. I would think that was probably the craziest decision to make, is to go out at night to walk home to whatever village you're at,
Yeah.
you live in.
I
Yeah.
Uh,
mean, it's
And
like, how
then,
do you even see though? It's like she doesn't have a flashlight or anything, and she's walking in the middle
well,
of the night, you
well,
know?
dude, it's Hammer. Look at the
Yeah.
night shots. You can see
Yeah.
everything in those night shots because it's day for night.
yeah,
Nobody needs a torch in these
Yeah.
movies.
But then when Clove says, he's like, "Have I pleased you, master? Am I forgiven?" When he brings Julie to him, and he's like, Dracula's like, "You have done well."
Uh,
And then he goes over and bites her, and he kills her pretty good. He just straight up just kills her.
yeah,
It's like,
I guess Julie's not up to his standards of
yeah.
like being a Dracula bride, but
Well,
she's
he did go
yummy.
for it's been like his second night of not having killing anybody, so I guess he's just like,
He's hungry for
yeah,
something. He's got to have that chick blood, man.
yeah.
that nubile young thing. I know.
Yeah. Oh, you know. What are you trying to tell us, Kevin?
No, the thing is, I actually like Julie, so it was like, oh man, you're gonna kill her. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting character, even though she
Yeah.
was like sending everybody to their demise. But it's like,
It was inadvertent though. She didn't know any better.
yeah,
No, she doesn't, and I wish they brought her back as a vampire. It would
Yeah.
have given Dracula more of a, he would have outnumbered freaking Simon, who I almost called Paul. He would have outnumbered Simon and Sarah, and he would have been fine. And he would have had more, he would have had Sarah and Julie. He would have had two Dracula women at his beck and call.
Yeah,
I don't know why I called them Dracula women. That was
the Brides of Dracula.
well. Now at this point, though, we only have 30 minutes left of this movie.
no,
And
we have less than 30 minutes. We're at an hour and 18 minutes in here.
And we're still wondering what the heck happened to Paul. like Clove just says he climbed out the window and escaped, but I'm like, I don't trust him. There's no way.
Well, that's why the priest and Simon go back to the castle now. That and they leave Sarah at the church. I think yeah, she just left at the church.
Yeah,
Like that's
but
still gonna be safe.
yeah. I mean, they don't. The priest knows it's not safe at the church, but I mean, she's safe from Dracula, but not the bat. And it, so it's
Go ahead,
frustrating.
Dave.
Is it not? No, I'm just frustrated by like some of the writing here. But I mean,
I know.
because it's like they're always trying to protect Sarah, but then and they do this in several of the Dracula films. In order for the girl to be by herself, they try to protect her, and then they go, even though the girl's like wanting to help, but she can't really help anyway because Dracula, when she sees Dracula, she falls like in under his hypnosis spell on right away. But anyway, so they leave her back there. The priest and Simon go up, and they see the little Mary, the Virgin Mary statue again, and then the priest once again is like loses his courage, and then like Simon tells him to go back and watch Sarah, which is a good thing, I guess. He ends up saving her, but then Paul continues because he is at the church, and the bat does come in there, and the bat attacks him pretty gruesomely and pretty hilariously because he's having to like actors having to puppet the bat while it's killing him some, you know.
Yeah, and I almost thought that we were gonna get some kind of like Fulci like gore where like the bat was gonna like pull off some skin off his neck, but not quite.
No.
Yeah, it's it's still kind of it's pretty bloody for these Hammer. Hammer's starting to get bloodier in this one for sure, but it's bloodier than some of the other ones before, but it doesn't go like Fulci or any kind of like giallo type of gore that
Nope.
they wouldn't have been able to get away with that in this movie. But then that's when like Simon goes back, he finds himself in that room again. He actually gets a rope this time with Clove, and then
Yeah.
they take the rope instead of the sheets. And he goes when he starts going out the window, Clove starts cutting the rope. So he ends up, but he gets in the room. He finds Dracula. He has a stake, and then he drops the ball and doesn't stake him right.
Yeah, because there's this weird thing that happens where Dracula is still asleep, but his eyes glow
Yeah,
through his lids. And
yeah,
it looks like they are open, but it's this
Yes.
weird animated effect, like they are red and burning, and somehow this hypnotizes Simon and he faints. It's such a weird, creepy effect. It's clearly an
yeah.
animation, but you know what it reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of the really bad the CGI eyes opening of Wesley Snipes in Blade Trinity when he's on the when he's on the gurney
Right.
Because Wesley Snipes wouldn't open his eyes, so they had to CG it. It reminds me of that.
It looks weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It looks bad, but it is kind of effective too at the same time. But he he knocks Simon out that way. And that's a new power I think for Dracula to see him when he's asleep and somebody tries to stake him for his eyes to glow like that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not the power set edition that I was referring to.
Yeah,
What I was
I know what you're
referring
talking
to,
about.
what I was referring to is that after this, Dracula reveals to all of us watching, how the heck does he get out of there? He doesn't turn into a bat. Well, Dracula climbs the wall and like a spider can.
Yeah,
So, which is actually something he does in the book
Yeah.
Dracula,
right.
and by Bram Stoker, and he never does that in any other Hammers, and he doesn't do it again. This is the only time that you will see Christopher Lee's Dracula climb a wall like Spider-Man.
Yeah, they apparently cut that out too originally for the original run, but they've added it back in later. But I don't know why they were so scared about that.
I don't know, but thank God that they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. It's like it makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, I've always like made some assumptions. Like, I mean, we don't like not now, but like I used to think things like he could fly or whatever, or he could climb or turn into a bat, but he doesn't ever in these type of films. It seems like his powers are somewhat limited, though he does have some crazy powers, you know.
Well, I've always like that was another scene that called back to the original, like I said, the novel and the other films that do that exact same thing, which this film does a lot of. And I actually like that. And it didn't dawn on me till you mentioned it, Thomas, that he doesn't do that in any other films. Yeah, I didn't think about that till now. I was like, oh, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so visually cool in this film. You're like, oh, maybe he should do it more often. Um,
Yeah, but I guess it wasn't in the budget for the other ones.
Now,
but they do, they,
before he climbs up there, though, he does confront Simon inside of that room,
Mhm.
and Simon also finds Paul's body.
which is grisly.
Yeah,
Oh yes, we finally find out what happened to
Yes.
poor Paul. And oh my gosh.
there's
Yeah.
some kind of like meat hook hanging in there, like a Texas
Uh,
Chainsaw Massacre or something. I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm like, okay, Dracula's using him as like just, I guess, a carcass, because if you think that if he was bleeding him dry slowly, you'd see like a Jonathan Harker type of version of Paul, where he's half in and out of consciousness for days because he's been being fed on over and over again. But that's not what we see. We see him like he's hung up on the meat hook, a carcass. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it's really disgusting and disturbing. It almost makes you think that Dracula just kind of hung him up on the wall because he thought it would be an interesting bit of decor. Like, oh, he goes so well with the drapes over there. I'll just stick him there. Or
Like he's so
maybe,
beautiful. He's so
yeah, he's
beautiful. I
so
have to
beautiful.
Yeah. Then
Everybody wants Paul, even
Or
Dracula.
yeah, even Dracula. Or maybe it was a thing where Dracula stuck him up there because like Dracula, who of course is immortal, is patient, and he probably thought that, if I stick him up on the wall there, he'll rot, and eventually he'll just be this cool skeleton hanging on the wall of my tomb.
But then like Simon's there, and then Dracula. I mean, Simon sees him, and then Dracula's suddenly just there, and he's like, Dracula asks him, "Where is she?" And Simon's like, "Oh, she's safe." And then the bat comes in and tells Dracula something that none of us hear. And the
Yes,
Dracula's just like, he's like, "I think not."
I think not.
Then he does the crazy spider climb up the wall of the castle. So it's I
Just
think
like a
yeah.
Spider-Man.
But there's like things that like Dracula could do that he doesn't do. Like he could kill Simon several times. I mean, he could have killed Simon when he woke up. Like Simon was on the floor, like passed out,
Mhm.
and he doesn't kill people sometimes when it would like be in his benefit to take just go ahead and kill them. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the script, which
Yeah,
isn't that
yeah.
great. But also you could, if you
You
really
guys
want to
keep
spend
mentioning, well, the script is not that great. Well,
no, it's
Yeah.
not that good. It reminds me of
But
this guy I used to know in high school who would like whenever a movie didn't make sense, he'd be like, it's because the movie sucked, that's why. And then he would go on. But like I think there is, however, a thing in the original novel where Van Helsing goes on about the psychology of vampires. I think we mentioned this when we did our episode on Horror of Dracula. But apparently in the passage, Van Helsing says that because a vampire is dead, there's not a lot of oxygen to their brains, and because of the rot, they have literal brain rot, and therefore their brains are like children brains. They're very childish, and their decisions often don't make any sense because they're not thinking like the way people do anymore.
well, I mean, it kind of helps, I guess. But if you think about he killed Paul with, when he was in there. It's really like in Simon's. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Vanishing, kind of the idea of the Vanishing, where like Sandra Bullock's in the remake. In the original one, the girl he kidnaps the girl, and you don't know what happened to her, and then her boyfriend's looking for her, and then
Yeah.
he ends up in the same exact place as
I was about to
her.
say, wait, spoilers for that
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. I'm not gonna say exactly what happens, but he ends up in the same exact place. But here we end up there. Simon's in the same exact place as Paul. He finds Paul's dead, and Dracula killed Paul. But I mean, yeah, obviously he does it. It would suck for a little bit for the audience if Simon died because he is kind of the hero, even though it's
yeah.
really ends up being Sarah. Um,
Yeah, but is he really though? Because I mean, we could skip ahead a little bit here, but like honestly, like he doesn't really kill Dracula. He kind
yeah.
of sucks at it. If
Well,
anybody kills
we're
Dracula, it's Dracula that kills Dracula.
yeah, it's kind of hilarious, really. But we actually are there because that's what happens next.
Okay,
Yeah,
so first of all, we have to go into the fact that Sarah, after the encounter at the church with Dracula, just decides to go. I need to go. I guess go save Simon. So I need to go all the way back to the castle.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like that's another thing. It's like she is. I mean, if she was there the whole time, I don't. Yeah, all right.
I
Because
mean,
it's like it's such a like a chore for her to get back to the castle by
yeah,
herself. How does she even do it?
yeah, because mostly, we've always seen people get to the castle by a carriage, and she's just walking. Like
Yeah. Well, the
maybe
church. I guess maybe the church is closer. Well, they do walk. Like
the
the
church is
priest.
in town, though.
Yeah, I guess. But
That's a shortcut. It's
yeah,
gotta be a shortcut.
yeah. But the priest and Simon walk there. Don't ride a carriage. But yeah, I mean, it seems a little odd that she gets there the way that she does.
Just in time too.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's okay. These are the logic things that upon our we did the logic things that didn't matter to people when the movie came out in the 1970 to be exact. But we're watching it now. We're like, there's just a lot of logic issues in here. But
Yeah.
entertaining value watching her after leaving the church, that whole place of sanctuary, or what they thought was sanctuary, and going into the devil's den just seems a little crazy. But she fallen in love with the Simon character. So for me, this was like the first part of the film where you actually other than their kiss, they did that kiss earlier, where she's doing something for him instead of him always doing something for her. So there's a lot of stuff that had to come in between for this actually to fucking happen. But I'm gonna buy it just enough.
But yeah, so she gets up there, and then Dracula comes down and sees her,
Yeah.
and then she's got the friggin' necklace on still, but then the bat, it don't matter to the
Exactly.
bat. That bat goes and like bites that necklace off, and he like when he's doing that, he goes ahead and gets some cleavage too, and bites into her breast,
Yeah.
and
So you see some
yeah,
blood, little
yeah,
drips of
got
blood.
Bat,
some
what can I
blood.
say? Batty is the pimp.
Yeah,
Batty is like he's a better servant to Dracula than Clove is. Batty
yeah,
could
yeah.
probably redecorate the entire castle by himself.
What happened to Clove, by the way? I can't even remember.
Well, it's not quite there yet, but then
Okay.
like what? So what's that blood on her breast? That's a big deal for this film. It was like a really big deal for censors and for like the people making this movie, or even like the British people were like looking at it. Were like, we don't want to mix sexuality with horror, but they didn't think it was a good idea. They didn't think it was
Oh, sure.
yeah, they didn't think it was a responsible thing to introduce to the audiences, but it got in there anyway. And but Dracula's looking at those bloody breasts and just his lustful look at those breasts. It's like that's a great look he has. But that's when Clove returns
Okay.
with a knife
Oh
and
yeah.
he tries to attack Dracula like a real fool. And we all know, we've seen it like 3 times already. There's a ledge there, and that's when it comes into play. He just takes Clove and throws him over the
That's right.
ledge. Yeah.
Yeah, no use for you. I mean, clearly though, I mean, let's not bag on Clove too much because he's got the knife. This knife, I guess, is magical because this knife is a vampire killing knife. That Dracula has used this knife to kill a vampire before. So Clove
You mean
knows.
Van Helsing, right? Or
No,
Dracula?
No,
Dracula himself? Oh,
Dracula.
yeah, yeah,
Dracula.
yeah, yeah. In the
Yeah.
movie, yeah, yeah, he
Yeah.
did kill the vampire. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Dracula. Oh yeah, Dracula doesn't give a crap about any kind of vampire laws or decorum. He will kill his own kind. He doesn't care. But like Clove's got the magic dagger. He knows if he can just get it into Dracula's chest, that will kill him. But he doesn't count on the fact that he sucks at this, and Dracula just throws him over the edge. But you know who else sucks at this is Simon.
I'm-
Simon, in his big chance to be the fierce vampire killer, screws it up when he takes some steel rod from the wreckage of the castle, throws it like a javelin, and Dracula does not hit the heart. He hits him in his stomach, which
Yeah,
is cool, I think, because I mean, this movie's got a lot of problems, but one thing that it does do is that it suddenly remembers to be realistic at points, and this is one of those points, which is that if you have never done this sort of thing before, it would be very unlikely for you to actually hit the heart in a
yeah,
person that you're hurtling a javelin like thing at because the heart is a small target. The abdomen, the stomach is a much bigger target. So it'd be easier to hit that.
well,
Even if
it
you're,
would, yeah,
yeah.
it would be hard to take that and throw it and even get it into anybody anyway. You'd have to be like, especially if you haven't been doing it, you haven't been throwing stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
I mean, another thing about the heart is that it's on like the left side of your body, so it's not like right in the center of your chest. So I mean, if it were me in a moment of panic, I might forget which side the heart is on. I might pierce Dracula's lung instead and really tick him off. I mean, heck, I mean, yeah, Simon screws up, but you know what? We all probably would have done something stupid like that in that moment. It
Yeah,
takes practice to become a fearless vampire killer. Van Helsing was doing this stuff for years. But anyway, he
yeah.
throws it like a javelin, misses the heart. Dracula's amused and pulls it out of himself. And he's like, he's about to race it and he's about to impale poor Simon's head on this thing. And then all of a sudden, lightning strikes. Literally, lightning comes from the sky and lights up this metal rod, and then Dracula gets electrocuted, and he sets on fire and falls into the chasm. This is probably the only time in all of cinema history where Dracula gets electrocuted and dies from it.
It's like when he catches on fire, it looks really awesome, and
Yeah.
like his performance is really good there. He's like snarling and like a creature caught in a cage there. But it is like almost like a Deus Ex Machina moment where the hand of God
Yeah.
comes in
I was about to
and
say the same
saves
thing.
the day. It kind of seems to happen a lot of these. When this would kind of also you've named the hammer hurry up a little bit, but it's
Oh yeah, this is definitely some hammer hurry up
yeah,
in here, where
but
like they just
Yeah, but
realized
this,
what they did was they wrote themselves into a corner. They're like, oh, but what if this happened? Oh, what if this happened? But wait a minute. Oh, how is he going to kill Dracula? Well, I guess Dracula's going to kill him. Well, we can't have that. Ooh, I know what we can do. Dracula lightning bolt, and he gets set on fire. Ah, yes, the hand of
yeah.
God.
yeah,
You
but this
know.
is a much cooler ending than say when he gets drowned in the water and frozen in the lake.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
you're right.
yeah,
It's
it's I mean
yeah.
yeah, I mean think about how if he threw the iron stake at him and it worked, that would have like been worse than I think than him getting the electric like the lightning.
Yeah. Plus, it's really cool watching Christopher Lee's Dracula burning up and then falling over the edge of the chasm.
Yeah, it's a cool effects on when
Yeah,
that happens, and his performance is great.
yeah,
Like I guess the question is like the lightning just, but he is holding like an iron rod or
yeah,
something,
it's
so
Iron Rod.
lightning
And he's at
does
the top
it
of the
could it
castle that's
yeah
not
yeah
burnt.
yeah
And
so
it
he's
is a
up pretty high.
storm going on. You're hearing it in the backdrop. You're hearing the background the entire time. So
It's not like the storm came out of nowhere. It
yeah,
Yeah.
didn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, another question we have to ask ourselves is again, Dracula has got a lot of dialogue in this movie, but he doesn't say anything this whole scene. I mean, they decided to give Dracula so much more dialogue in this movie, but they didn't give him any kill lines on this or any like bravado kind of now things you could say over your victim at this moment. I mean, this is Dracula's moment of triumph, and he says nothing. But I have an idea, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have some Schwarzenegger alternators that could spruce this scene up a bit.
okay.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a bit we like to do from time to time when I'm on this show, where I imagine what if the character who's doing the kill line or the character who's vanquishing the evil, would say if he were played by one Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the master of these sort of quips. And I don't know why, but suddenly I'm in a Midwestern accent, Mid-Atlantic accent for this.
I don't know.
But it just came and went. So give me a moment to prepare, gentlemen, as I conjure the form of Mr. Schwarzenegger, who is not dead yet at the time of this recording.
He probably finds this very funny that we do this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here we go. So imagine he's pulled the rod out of his chest and he's got it raised high above his head. And there he is. And he's got Sarah behind him. And he goes, she's mine. At least for the week. Because he just goes through these witches like toothpick, like tissue paper.
Okay.
Number one. That's number one. Number two. You are going to be my first paw on a steak. I'm Simon, actually. Whatever.
Okay.
Number three. This will be after Dracula is struck by lightning and just is consumed in a conflagration of doom. Why? Wait a minute. Why am I on fire? That's Frankenstein's thing. That's not me. That's Frankenstein. That's not me. And then finally, number four. Shocking turn of events, don't you think? Ah!
That was good. That was good. After you said that, I kind of think that I wish they had Hammer had done like a crossover movie between Dracula and Frankenstein.
I mean, at least they could have done. I mean, at this time, it would have made sense for them not to do, Peter Cushing's Frankenstein because Ralph Bates was doing the part in Evil. They could have had Ralph Bates be the Frankenstein that he encounters in this, or just not have Frankenstein the creator at all. Just have the monster be there.
Yeah, I mean it does make it hard to do it since Peter Cushing plays Van Helsing. Yeah, so it would have to be the Ralph Bates one didn't go over too good, so they brought Peter Cushing back for one more. So
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it would have been weird because, granted, Van Helsing has been absent in this series for a very long time. The last time he and Dracula tangled together was in the first movie, and he does not come back until the next movie,
Right.
Dracula 80, 1970. So there's a huge chunk there where he's just been gone.
Yeah.
So really, they could have at this point maybe brought back Peter Cushing and as Frankenstein for this reboot, quote unquote, this version of Dracula where he's just like, and they could have done like a little nod by when they're finally face to face and be like, Frankenstein, you look very familiar. You remind me of someone I met years ago. Oh, really? Was he a fine gentleman? Not really. And that could be it. Something like that.
Well, we didn't get it.
But we can imagine. We could dream. We could fan fiction.
Yeah, I don't think Hammer did any crossovers. I'm not.
No, they didn't. But I'll tell you this: like we've noticed as we do these movies is that like they make reference to the towns they are set in.
Yeah.
Like Carlsbad and Karlstein are mentioned interchangeably in the Hammer Frankensteins and the Hammer Draculas. So we have to believe that they are intersecting at some point in some timeline, because with Evil of Frankenstein, it's a reboot. With Scars of Dracula, it's a soft reboot. So at some point, there's some kind of parallel universe intersection at some point here.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were constantly having to reinvent themselves just because of whatever was going on with the way whatever people were wanting from horror, what they were perceiving that to be.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't feel like it mattered, that the continuity mattered that much, and they definitely were. They probably didn't feel like a crossover monster mash would be a good thing at the time.
No, I agree with you. I'm wishing
I would have liked to have seen it, but
yeah, hell yeah, that would have been awesome.
It might have diluted the property a lot, though. It kind of diluted the Universal monsters when it happened.
Yeah,
I don't think it diluted them the first time. Like House of Frankenstein's pretty cool. It's House of Dracula that dilutes it, and it's the Abbott and Costello-ing of it all.
I was about to say the Abbott and Costello ones.
I liked both of them. I just thought that you could see the movies just they didn't go forward with any more movies after that, because they put them together, and then at the time it was like they couldn't like do more standalone films. That was it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then at least for the Gothic monsters,
Yeah, and then they tried to do it again with Tom Cruise, and we all know how that went.
They went right off the bat, tried to mix it up with Tom Cruise. They're like, we're going to go straight for the monster mishmash.
Yeah, that was a bad idea, because they didn't learn anything from DC's mess ups with the Justice Leagueification of it all. Yeah. That didn't quite work, thank God. Yeah. But so we look forward to what Blumhouse does with the rest of the Universal horror cycle. We know that they did well with the Invisible Man, and we, as of this recording, eagerly anticipate Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and who knows what else they're going to be having down the pipeline. I know they threatened a Dracula movie directed by Karin Kusama, who did Jennifer's Body. But we haven't seen hide nor hair of that movie, unfortunately. I was really looking forward to see that. But yeah, I don't know. But back to this movie, I do love that. Like, this movie just kind of abruptly ends as soon as Dracula's down in the chasm. Sarah and Simon embrace and are like, "I love you too." I mean, they don't say anything. There's no dialogue. In fact, I think Clove gets the last line in this movie, and I don't even remember what it is. But that's it.
Yeah. There is that hug. I mean, at least like sometimes they don't even give you that. At least there's that like hug between Sarah. It's like a good 2-second thing, but just that alone helps a little bit. But it is kind of like, we're done. Credits. Dracula's gone. Movie's over.
For now.
Yes.
So, guys, now we got the end of Scars of Dracula. Is there anything that you think that we have missed over that we still need to discuss about this film?
I think we got it. I think we got everything off.
I think it got us, although I still say this movie should have been called The Bats of Dracula. And by the way, I think by the time this movie's over, Batty's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah.
Nobody killed him.
We didn't. Yeah, we needed a. Yeah, the bat was a real pain in the ass, apparently, to work with. But it was.
Temperamental actors, I tell you, temperamental actors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was still there, and like I don't know what his thoughts were going forward from this. I don't know if he liked seeing Simon and Sarah hugging. I don't know how if he would have like let them walk home in peace.
I don't think so. I mean, that would have been if this movie were made today, they would surely have had like Bat. They would have had Batty come dive bombing out of the air, come into Paul's neck, rip his throat out,
And then
and
goes
just
black.
like yeah, and then just fly
Yeah.
into the chasm and just like drop that bit of flesh onto Dracula's seared carcass, and
At the
then
ve-
like
yeah,
and then credits.
yeah. At the very least, they would have killed the bat in some way. You know,
Yeah,
if the
they would
bat
have killed the
wasn't,
bat.
yeah, they you would have had to destroy the bat. But there's a that bat still alive is a problem. But I guess fortunately and unfortunately going forward that there's no more bat and there's also no more Pauls.
Thank
Eh,
God.
We'll probably have a Paul in one of the other movies that we talk about.
no,
There's still
there's no more. I looked ahead.
there's still more. There aren't any more Hammer in any of the Frankenstein's.
Yeah, yeah. They probably noticed. They probably noticed that we're like, hey, you're using Paul a lot. Maybe you should stop doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it is the 70s. This brings us into a new era of Hammer. Like you mentioned before, this is the 70s. They're not quite sure what the young people these days want anymore. So they're gonna try and shock them more with with more gore, with more cleavage, and eventually boobs. And also like it blows my mind that this movie comes out the same year that Taste the Blood of Dracula comes out. And
Oh yeah,
Dracula 80, and then Dracula 80 1970, which I think doesn't come out in 1970, comes out later that year. But it's pretty crazy how 1970 is like their banner year
yeah.
for this this new era that they were going into.
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
weird. Yeah, it's weird. Some of the movies are still trying to hang on to this gothic sensibility, which I really like the gothic aspects of all of these. But they were the got. This is like kind of the end of that. You like 71, 72. There's a lot of movies that were put out by Hammer in those eras. I mean, in that time. But then going forward, it was like they saw that they needed to get away from the gothic like vampires
Yeah, I kept
and things like
thinking
that.
was Captain Cronus Vampire Hunter one of the last ones because that came out in
Yeah,
70.
it was one of the last ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one is gothic, but they were definitely getting away from it after this. But Captain Kronos was one that they wanted to turn into a series, but it didn't work out.
I'm about to say I don't think
That's
that one did well. So
yeah. That was really a really a great callback to the older Hammer films.
yeah,
So still like bringing new stuff into it, but
I like that movie. I've
yeah.
always liked that movie. So
It came a little too late, but yeah, that was definitely probably the first Hammer film I ever saw was that one.
yeah,
mhm. I will say it's I mean we'll get to it when we get to it, but the Captain Kronos is one of the few instances where and this doesn't happen very often in horror. We got a lot of great villains, we got a lot of great monsters in horror, but we don't have a lot of great horror heroes. And Captain Kronos was their attempt to make one. I
Yeah.
think,
Well,
to add to the,
speaking of that, it kind of reminds me of this movie. Captain Kronos was dubbed by a different actor. So was the actress playing Sarah here was dubbed by a different actress.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that
She
either.
didn't know it either until she went to the theater.
Oh, geez.
Oh, that
But
must have been embarrassing.
yeah, well, her friend was like, "That's not your voice," and but she said that I guess she sounded too not like high pitched enough. They wanted someone to sound higher pitched, and she sounded maybe too not not innocent enough sounding or bubbly enough, and they had someone else come in and dub her voice.
Oh man. Well,
She
that's happened before a couple of times with different actresses for accent reasons. I
yeah.
think Caroline Munro. I think that happened to her in one of her movies. Maybe it wasn't Caroline Munro. It was Hazel Court was dubbed.
Oh yeah, yeah. What was it like? It was like Barbara Still in one of those Vincent Price films was like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Hmm.
This actress name was Jenny Hanley. Is it was her? I guess she's still alive as we're doing this podcast. But yeah. I mean, she said that one time she said she did see a version of it with her actual voice in it. It'd be interesting to get to see it with a different voice.
If only they have it in a 4K version.
I don't understand.
Yeah, they don't have it in there, unfortunately.
Thank you, Siri, for trying to help us.
Yeah, I know it. Always listening. Yeah. It's between I'm not going to say the name, but it's between that and the other one, you know how they are.
All right, guys. So we are at that point now where I want to thank you both for joining us on this conversation. But for everyone out there listening, what we love to do is we love to rate the movies. We like to go from 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being absolutely amazing. But what we do differently is we like to pick an object, a quote or saying out of the film to attribute to our ratings. So, guys, after all of this conversation, what is your rating and what object, quote or saying, are you going to attribute for your rating? And we're going to start off with you, Mr. Dave.
So I'm going to go with the bat, of course. The big fat bat that has blood that spits on Dracula.
Batty the Bat.
Batty the Bat. And I'm gonna be a little generous, probably more generous than this film deserves. I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars.
Okay.
Just because Christopher Lee talks more, I like that. I like the more blood. I do like the production values in it and the way that it's shot. But there's definitely a lot of shortcomings for this film. But some of those I do embrace those as well as making it more of a fun to watch Dracula film. It's definitely not a boring one.
Okay. And what about you, Thomas?
Well, Mr. Kevin L. Powers, I think I too will be generous, but not as much as Mr. Watkins.
Oh, okay.
And I think, to me, Batty the Bat, yes, is the true star of this movie. But I don't think he's the marvelous and terrible object that I will pick to rate this movie. I think instead I would pick the one thing, the one good arresting image from this movie that really defines it, that really no other Hammer Dracula movie dares to do, which is to electrocute and incinerate with an act of God their Dracula. So I'm going to rate this movie a generous, a soft 3 burning Draculas out of 5.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm glad I saw it, but it's not one of those that I will watch again and again. I will probably rewatch, Taste the Blood of Dracula before I watch this one. Or, Risen from the Grave or Horror of Dracula. I mean, even Dracula, Prince of Darkness has a nice charm to it, even though that's the one where he drowns rather lamely, as Kevin L. Powers suggested.
I thought you liked it shit when he drowned. You were defending it when we were talking about it.
I do. But compared to this, it's lame. Compared to getting electrocuted and burned. Actually, it reminds me of like something. I'm writing a script right now. It's a horror, a holiday horror movie, and I'm very close to achieving my bucket list as a writer, where I want to have a monster or a killer who gets shot, stabbed, burned, electrocuted, and thrown out of a plate glass window. I want to be able to have one character, one monster who gets all those things happening to him in the same movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give the movie 3 church massacres of an entire female village. Since that's for me, that's the most iconic thing from this film, other than the death of Dracula. That church opening sequence is just bloody as hell, and the film doesn't really recover from that. But I do love the Paul character here. I do think the first half of this film is really good, and then of course we start getting into weird little story things after that. So I mean, the thing about this is it's entertaining and it's engaging, but this is what number 6 we said, so it's it's number 6 in the series. So
you might say that it's getting a little long in the fang.
Getting long in the things. Thank you so much, Thomas. And with that, I hope you all have enjoyed this conversation in which we talked Scars of Dracula, which is yet another episode, part 6 in the long franchise of Hammer Dracula films. We hope that you check out all
3 more left, by the way.
3 more left. But before we get to those 3, we do hope that you go back and check out the previous episodes for the other films in this franchise. We are going to continue doing them in order of their release date, just so that we can say that we've all watched them in order of their release, since none of us were around when these movies were being released. With that, we hope that you have a great time. Please make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe. Do that thing you do with your favorite podcast, your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. And please make sure to check out our other podcast, Conversations in Horror, which delves into all aspects of horror, no matter what subgenre or decade it was produced in. It's a great, fun, another podcast that we love to do, and that's every week. So you get twice as much horror as you probably do in your normal life, and we all think that that's great. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, have a pleasant day, and we will see you on the next horrifying episode of Conversations in the Hammer Studio Horrors.
Oh.
Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment podcast. It is hosted by Kevin L. Powers, original music provided by Dusty Ellison, produced and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Our executive producer is Kelly A. Inoka. This podcast is produced in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is part of the Conversations in Horror podcast franchise and is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures. No part of this program can be used without express permission from Broken Lighthouse Pictures.